Should it?
I mean,
Huh?
I think I made.
No, no.
Now they're bald.
Or maybe I thought I tried to put them in there without doing any.
Okay, that's fine.
Anyway,
Maybe I misread it.
we can,
How are you?
we can defer if you wanna.
No,
That's okay, you can pick that up. Keep you two separated.
Not in your packet, but those are,
I know, I saw that. They should be in here.
no, they shouldn't be there, but they don't.
Oh, at all? Oh, okay. I got you.
Everything will be good.
So I just basically emailed it.
That's right.
Okay.
We'll be good. We'll be set. Those dates, you'll see. If Tim's okay
I
with
got
the
you.
2018 one, I'm fine. If,
I don't feel penalized.
Oh, okay, good, makes me feel better.
Yeah, the 11, 12, or is it 10, 12? No, it's not.
Doing your job.
what time you got?
Close.
Let's roll.
I got it.
I understand. I was like that first. Took me a minute.
No,
I know what you mean.
Call to order, please. It is 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. on October the 10th. This is our normal monthly council meeting. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please join me with standing. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Jones, would you do our invocation? I apologize.
Well,
If you don't
morning
want,
would have been nice.
if you don't want, I'm sorry.
If you would, bow your heads, please. Dear Lord, we come before you once again for our monthly town council meeting. There's so many things that we need to be thankful for in Stokesdale. There's the war and strife all around us. There's the recent storms in the mountains and in Florida, and help us and our citizens to truly appreciate all their many blessings and fill in as needed wherever help is needed. We ask that you give wisdom to this council to spend citizens' money, and we thank you for each citizen. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I would like to make a motion that we adopt the agenda with this exclusion, number 3, item 3. The gentleman, Mr. Jackson could not be with us this evening.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I'd like to ask for a change.
yes, sir.
We have a closed session, number 16, and then we have number 13, measures to prevent unauthorized access of water from the hydrants. I'd like to move that closed session to number 13 and then move the number 13 to number 16. And then the public comments, I guess leave the public comments there, but also add public comments after we do number 13, just in case there probably won't be any. But in case they, people want to leave before the closed session, go ahead and have the comments there.
Mr. Landris, clarify that for me. You want to move 16?
I think he wants to reverse 13 and 16,
Is that what you're asking, basically?
I do,
and then add a third public comment period.
if needed, probably won't be
If
needed.
anybody
but I
wants
want-
to speak. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. I want to have the opportunity if a citizen wants to speak after we come out of closed session and then do number 13.
I got you. You want 13 to follow 16?
Yeah, it don't make much sense to do legal advice after we've already had the item.
Okay, is there any further discussion? I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Rigsby? Aye. Mr. Foy? Aye.
Well,
Andrew?
Who made the motion?
I made the motion. I made the motion with the exception.
Oh, okay, just making sure that
I did.
Mr. Landorf wasn't seconding his own motion, we'd be out of order.
Mr. Jones?
I am I.
Okay, and I am also aye. I make a motion that we adopt the closed session meetings of 3/13/2018.
Second?
Do I have any discussion? Mr. Rigsby? Aye. Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landrith?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Hold on a second, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
Three thirteen eighteen, I'm aye.
You are aye on 318? I'm sorry, 313?
31318, I'm aye.
Okay. Mr. Landrith, Mr. Rigsby? Aye. Mr. Foy? I'm sorry, what do you?
Are we on 1220, correct?
No, we're on 313-18. It's your vote.
I already voted once.
Yeah, I've already voted. Jimmy voted, Tim voted, now you're up, Bob.
You're right, I am terribly sorry. I vote aye.
All right.
I make a motion that we adopt the closed session meetings of 12/20/2018.
Second?
Any discussion?
Aye.
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landrith?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And I am also aye. I make a motion that we adopt the the closed session meetings from 9/9/2020.
Second?
Do I have any discussion?
Yes. Robbie, could you clarify how these minutes were prepared? I know it's from before you and Ms. Martin were hired and y'all are playing catch-up.
Yes, yes. The reason that these minutes are on the agenda is a while back you asked us to do an inventory of all the closed session meeting minutes. And during that inventory process, we found roughly 5 sets that had not been approved prior to the creation of that inventory. And so some of these were prepared using audio from the meetings. And then this set in particular, 9/9/2020, it was done at the time the clerk had prepared these minutes, and they were presented and then summarized by the current clerk and current deputy clerk and summarized. But they were initially typed by the clerk at the time of the meeting.
So if I understood you correctly, you're saying the current deputy clerk, Ms. Martin, used a draft of minutes that was prepared by the previous town clerk?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And Mr. Foy, I also have looked at, I was present at the 2018 meetings, both of them. Based on my recollection and the notes that I have, the minutes are accurate. I believe they're accurate.
And that's why I voted for both of those. But
Yeah.
we're talking about the 20th of
9/20.
September, and you weren't present at that, but I was.
Yeah, I won't be voting for those meetings that I wasn't present at. I was going to mention that.
And just to build on what Robbie was saying, how do I say this? I would prefer if Ms. Martin could go back and listen to the audio and craft a set of minutes herself. So we have a motion and a second on the table, but I'm not voting for it.
I withdraw my motion, my second.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, so that's for the 9/9/20
Yes.
minutes. So we're going to carry those forward.
And the same logic will apply to the next set of minutes, should a motion be made for my no vote for that.
I make a motion that we adopt November 12th, 2020, closed session meeting.
So just to clarify, no motion was made, or do we want to make a
Withdrawn, all motions were withdrawn on 9/9.
Mr. Mayor, I think he wants to do the same thing with that one. I would second your
I
motion,
am.
but,
I'll withdraw it in just a minute. I just want to be sure if I have a second.
well, of course, I'm going to second any motion, but I'm going to withdraw it because he wants to carry it forward for the
If we don't
same
have a
reason we
second,
just
it
did
won't
the
go
last
further.
one.
If we don't have a second, it won't go further, period.
By consensus, we're agreeing to continue 9/9/20
Yeah,
and
let's just-
11/12/20 for further review by the deputy town clerk, Ms. Martin.
Yes, sir.
Same holds, okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Sounds good.
Okay, I withdraw my motion. I make a motion that we adopt 8/15/2024. This is a special call town council meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Rigsby. Aye. Mr. Foy.
Aye.
Mr. Landrith.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
And I am aye. We have a closed session meeting on 9/12/2024. Do I have a motion?
And just for the clarification to the board, those are not in the envelope that's in front of you. Those are the minutes that I emailed, draft minutes that I emailed to to the council on September 22nd, just to avoid any confusion about where they are.
They were a little lengthy.
They were, if you'd like for me to revise them and paraphrase them.
I'm
I'll
not,
do that.
I'm not, you
I think
know,
what he's saying is billable hours. We're not gonna throw
We're definitely not gonna want you to
throw any more
revise those.
billable hours at your revision.
You did it on a Sunday, that had to be a day off, so I mean, that shouldn't cost us
Well,
anything, should it?
that'd be double time, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think that's in the contract, that double time thing, so.
No, Chuck, I appreciate your thoroughness.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
You do?
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Winfrey, I guess it'd be appropriate for the town clerk to note in the minutes for this meeting that those were prepared by you and are being held by you. That would be how we would handle that. A member of the public
That's-
gets interested later.
That's correct. I think the plan is for me to hold those minutes at my office,
Yeah,
not have them here at town hall.
I got you, but we just want to make sure that finds its way into the minutes of this meeting.
Sounds good.
So, discussion, I mean, what's the retention on that as far as, is that forever? I mean, this hypothetically thinking, if you were to leave us, do those members get, do they get transferred to the new staff or?
Yeah, they should be transferred to my
Okay,
successor.
the new attorney, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, whoever my successor would be
Yeah.
in those minutes.
Yeah. Or if we released them.
Do we need to make that order now, or did you do that automatically, transfer them to any subsequent town attorney?
I think that would just be go with the territory of whoever's
Kind of goes
named.
without saying.
No, I
Okay.
think that's what,
And to clarify, this is because we discussed the personnel matter.
correct.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mr. Rigsby?
aye,
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landrith?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And I am a no. I make a motion that we adopt the October 2nd, 2024 minutes. This is a special call town council meeting. Do I have a second?
You do, yes, sir. That was last week's meeting.
Yes.
Yes. Second.
Any discussion?
I would ask the clerk to note that I was not present. I'll be voting no.
Mr. Landrith?
Aye.
Sorry, out of order again. Mr. Rigsby?
aye,
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Jones is no. Am I correct?
I'm nay.
Nay. And I am aye. Public safety reports, our fire district. Do we have,
I'll handle that one.
okay, Mr.
Sorry about that. I had gotten an email from
Wagner?
Mr. Golden just not too long before the meeting, well, earlier this morning, actually. And he sent an email, he said, Robbie, hope all is well. Will not be attending the meeting tonight, but here are the numbers for our month of September. There were 36 medical incidents, 16 fire-related incidents, 34 other incidents for a total of 86. And again, that's for the month of September 2024. And that was from Mr. Todd Golden.
All right. Thank you, Robbie.
Yes,
Do we
sir.
have Guilford County Sheriff's Department, Robbie?
We do. So this is provided by Sergeant Ryan Seals of District 1 of the Guilford County Sheriff's Office. For the month of September, the Sheriff's Office responded to a total of 165 calls in the Stokesdale town limits and took 11 case reports. Of note, there were no significant incidents or trends for the month to report. Calls by type. This is a type of call upon initial dispatch. Call nature will often change after further investigation upon deputy arrival. Numbers denoted on the map indicate multiple calls for service at the same location. 1 burglary of a vehicle, 3 disturbance, 25 alarm, 2 alcohol, 1 assault, 9 domestic, 1 drug, 5 fraud, 1 missing person, 3 noise violations, 1 accident, 53 other, 17 suspicious, 1 stolen property, 1 theft, and 2 trespassing. And that's everything for the Sheriff's Department report.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Administrative reports, again to Mr. Wagner.
Yeah. So I have placed the administrative report in everyone's packet. It was a brief one, so I'll go over just a few of them. But of note, I'll do the water system report as always. This is provided by Mrs. Hunsucker. There were 7 water meters installed, 46 water meters in stock. 11 applications for transfer of service and water meters in, 25 water meters and applications on hold for builders, 10 work orders, 53 811 locates, 831 water bills were mailed out, and 16 reservations or rentals, that being at the town hall or at the town park. And of note for the water projects, the water line extension project, that being the one for Coldwater Road and Blues Creek Road. Not too much of an update except for the meeting that we had back in August. And that meeting between Mayor Crawford, Councilman Jones, and myself with Hazen and Sawyer, they discussed the project nearing the 50% completion mark. And Hazen and Sawyer since indicated that they're going to be reaching out to the fire district to speak with them about optimal fire hydrant placement along that water line extension. So for the other water line extension project that we have on Ellisboro Road, there will be more to come of that tonight, but just a brief reminder, Mr. Kennerly has updated the contract between the town of Stokesdale and Yates Construction, that being because you all accepted their proposal at the last meeting. That updated contract was received by me yesterday, and so I sent everybody a copy of it. It's quite lengthy. I've got 3 originals here, so if it is signed tonight, we'll just need to make sure to sign all 3. So everybody should have a digital copy. If there's going to be one printed version here at all times, and if anybody would like a printed version, let me know. And then for the lead and copper rule revision project update, I'm pleased to announce that Hazen and Sawyer, on behalf of the town, submitted the statistical method report to NCDEQ. And after review, DEQ approved the report. Following that, Hazen submitted the service line inventory, which was also received by DEQ and approved. So with both of those submissions successfully completed and approved, the project's now finalized ahead of the October 16th deadline. And we did receive confirmation today that there's nothing else that we need to do, that we've passed that and it's good to go. And the final report is the lead and copper test reporting. It's separate from the lead and copper rule revision. This is something that we do every 3 years, and this is EPA. This is a federal organization rather than a state organization. Every 3 years, we collect water samples from 10 random locations throughout the town. This year, Mr. Machunas, our ORC, gathered those samples and sent those off to Pace Analyticals for lead and copper testing. And of the 10 samples, all of them were well below the lead and copper levels that are allowed. So a letter explaining that, along with those test results, were sent out to the 10 locations by Mrs. Hunsucker and Mrs. Martin. And I think we've received all of the certified mail certificates back. So that's everything for the water. And then for the administrative report, if there's any questions, be glad to answer them. Otherwise.
Thank you, Robbie.
Yes, sir.
That was great.
You have anything for planning?
Yes. So I do have a planning board report. Mr. Winfrey put this together for us, Mason Winfrey. So just keep in mind, I call it the next regular. It's really no longer a regular meeting. The planning board amended their schedule to remove this meeting date when they found out that the Board of Elections would be using the room. But just as a reminder, there at one time was a meeting on October the 24th for the planning board. That has been canceled because early voting will be going on. That's just one of those, it's one of those things you cannot overrule. If the Board of Elections has the room, it's their room. And Mr. Winfrey's going to prepare and advertise a notice of cancellation just to remind folks of that.
Did we have any cases?
No, we did not. Well, we didn't have any cases because we caught this soon enough. I think we got that letter from the Board of Elections back in the spring, and I made Justin aware of that so that if anybody applied for anything, he told them, hey, heads up, you either need to do it in September or you need to do it in November.
Right, okay, so nothing was pending.
Yeah,
Good.
that's right.
Good.
When is the November meeting? It wouldn't be able to be the fourth Thursday, so.
November meeting, I believe, is going to be on the 21st. Yes, correct. It's on the 21st. So that's going to be the third Thursday this go around. And it was moved on account of Thanksgiving.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes, sir.
if no council member objects, I would like for you to make it clear in the minutes when you address this issue that the State Elections Board commandeered this space and didn't give the town any option to say yes or no.
Correct.
And so if should there have been somebody trying to get a case in front of the
Understood.
planning board, at least there's an explanation available there.
Understood.
Still not
And that was a decision made by the State Board of Election. It's my understanding the county did not select this as a location, however, the State Board did. So,
Yeah, I don't know if the rest of the council is aware of this. We went back and forth with them a little bit. We didn't have the option to opt out, although they did agree to pay any additional cleaning expenses and that sort of thing. And so it does puzzle me where they think we would conduct our business otherwise. I don't know if anybody really checked to see if we had alternative space available, et cetera, but as it worked out, it's not a problem for us, but could have been.
Anything further in the planning?
I've got a question. So is Robbie supposed to use the word commandeered in there, or?
He certainly has my permission to use whatever synonym he chooses, but it was mandatory is the point.
Okay.
I wanted that to be reflected in the minutes.
Okay.
I guess we would have had to go and make arrangements with the school cafeteria or something like that had we had to, had a big planning board meeting scheduled. I don't know.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Thank you, Robbie.
yes, sir.
Mr. Rigsby, do we have anything with property committee?
Apparently my signs are here, so, I may come up and try to put them up myself if, we don't get any objections about workman's comp issues. So I may come up and find the drill and do it myself, so.
We'll hold them up so the citizens can see.
If you do it on Friday, we'll be here to help you.
I'm sure. So basically, we changed the hours where we used to close the park at 11, so now we're closing it, 1 hour after sunset. So, which makes more sense, especially this time of the year.
Smile, please. Just kidding.
I got it over near Derek. He should be in that picture. So we're hoping that will, allow us to, not have a lot of people late at night at the park.
And I went around, there's 3 signs that currently say 11, and so those will go in place of those signs. And then the only other thing that we need to do is update the rules and regulations that are in the shadow boxes to reflect the new time. We've updated the document, we just haven't printed it. I was waiting on those.
Website?
Correct. When I update, the document's updated, I'll put it on the website as well. So that document that's on the website is not the updated version, but there is a version of that in our server that has been updated. So that's a good reminder. I'll do that.
And while I have the floor, if I could ask Mr. Stevenson to update us on the parking, because I noticed when I came in today, there were cars parked in the grass.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Stevenson, and I just want to throw out there, I'm leaning more toward blocking that parking path than I am putting asphalt down
Okay.
with rocks or something.
Understood.
That's fine. Mr. Stevenson is the chairman of the Town Park Improvement Committee, not the Property Committee, so I don't wanna mix the two.
Okay, we're not mixing the two. So, Mr. Stevenson.
Are we talking about
Well,
the
it's
Property
in-
Committee right now?
well,
Not yet,
but
no.
Well, okay, we can.
Oh, yeah,
we can
property
wait.
we
I
are.
just didn't see anywhere on the,
Coming up next, so.
I didn't see
I
anywhere
don't-
for him to, I see it down here at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I guess I'm just saying, we're not outsourcing the job of the Property Committee to Mr. Stevenson.
No, but I know he's been working on some things that are vital to the property committee.
Yes,
Is there anything else, Jim?
detail.
I'm sorry, is there anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
Oh, actually,
yes?
one other thing. So, Mr. Wagner, can you give us an update on the sewage issue that you called me about?
Oh, yeah, so unfortunately, we don't have an update at this time. Let's see, the day before yesterday, that being Tuesday, we noticed a smell coming from the restroom on the back end of the side. One that is unusual, definitely a distinct septic smell. And so yesterday, Mrs. Hunsucker covered the drain in the floor of that restroom, and that seemed to help the smell, but as soon as you lift that, it's gone.
Can I help you?
Yes, sir.
Pour some water down it. The
Just some
trap's
water?
probably dried out.
Okay, we can give it a shot, absolutely. We
Yeah,
reached
before
that-
we call anybody, or,
Well-
let's make sure we pour some water down it.
I'll try.
The water may have just evaporated and the trap seal's gone.
Okay.
Don't you see?
we'll give it a shot.
The ones in the shower here, I occasionally go
They do
in
that.
and pour water in, because we've had that in the past, and gnats flying around in the
Yes.
building, and I just know from experience that that needs to be done.
Okay.
Here in the showers, you'll have to take over that
Right. That's
after
fine.
I'm gone.
I can just turn the shower on, let it run.
Up to you.
All right, that sounds good. We'll do that. We had reached out to someone, but they haven't shown up yet. So if the water works, then we'll tell them not to come out. So that's good.
It'll work.
Sounds good. We'll try the water hot, cold, doesn't matter.
It'll work.
Gray hair.
That's all I got.
All right, sounds good.
Town Park Improvement Committee, Mr. T. Stevenson.
Good evening.
Evening.
See?
We do have just a few updates, but of course, the major one, Mr. Foy is going to take care of in item number 12 on the agenda tonight. The only other thing, Mr. Rigsby had discussed about the plans for parking in the area here. We do have a couple of quotes that we've received on parking, but we've kind of tabled that pending some further discussion on feasibility and that kind of thing. And perhaps we can get together and get your thoughts on that as well, if you have something other than real parking going into that area. Certainly would be like, enjoy having your company and your input on that. Basically, just to echo what Mr. Wagner had discussed, because of the use of this facility by the elections over the next couple of weeks, the next park improvement meeting will be at 5:15 on Thursday, November the 7th. So it's about 4 weeks until the next meeting there. So with that, any questions, concerns? Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, T.
Financial reports. We go to our finance officer, budget officer, Ms. Kimberly Thacker.
Good evening.
Evening, Kim.
Okay. We'll start with the general fund tonight. In our CDRs with the general fund account, we've got $2,725,055.27. Our total bank accounts with the general fund, and this also includes the CDRs, is $3,597,156.04. Our total year-to-date interest received in the general fund is $27,026.82. The month of September was $8,842.65. Our shared overhead expense reimbursement for the month of September is $11,879.87. Our total shared overhead expense reimbursement for year-to-date is $38,156.89. Year-to-date sales tax receivable is $404.30. The total AR for 9/30/2024 is $12,921.80. The total assets for the general fund is $3,610,077.84. All right, now I'll move to the water account. All right, for the water enterprise account, our CDRs total $532,639.44. The total bank accounts totaled, and this includes the CDRs, is $2,593,637.73. The total interest year-to-date for the water enterprise account is $13,117.09, of which for the month of September is $4,244.89. Our accounts receivable, including the September water billing, is $53,824.38. Total sales tax year-to-date for the water enterprise account is $654.48. The total assets for the water enterprise account total $2,648,116.59. And that's all for the numbers. I would like to, well, let me see, does anybody have any questions first? Okay. I would like to let council and everyone know that our audit, the annual audit, is in progress at this time. However, Many of you know that Cindy lives in Western North Carolina. I have spoken with her and verified with her. She personally is okay. Her county is not, and around her is not. I feel that our audit will continue. I can't make promises it will be done on time, but she will try to get it done on time, considering everything that they're going through in that area. We do have till October 31st, but we do get an automatic extension until November the 30th. That's automatic for all municipalities. I feel like we may meet that. If for some reason I'd see that we would not meet that, I would address council, let council know, and we could go from there, but I would definitely keep you updated on everything.
It'd be hard to believe that the local government commission didn't extend
I
that
have been
deadline.
looking for emails and I can't find
And if
it.
she does need an extension, that's something that she should reach out to them directly.
Yes,
Here.
yes. I just wanted to give you guys an update on that things have, because she
Well-
was here that day, all day, and well, she actually had to leave suddenly for a death. She found out about while she was
Right.
here, and then the hurricane, so.
Well, please let her know that we appreciate the work that she does for the town, and certainly she and everyone in Western North Carolina are in our prayers.
I will let her know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
We now open up for public comments. And I have Molly Bird.
I'm here to speak on behalf of Friends of Stokesdale, and I just wanted to thank everyone. We want to thank everyone who came to our third annual Farmers Day last Saturday. The weather was once again, gave us a beautiful day to celebrate Stokesdale's farming community while providing a social event and great entertainment for the Stokesdale community. Believe it or not, only 10 members of Friends of Stokesdale planned and worked Farmers Day along with other volunteers at the event from Stokesdale United Methodist Church. If you did not come to Farmers Day, you missed the best part, which was the crowning of our Mr. and Miss Farmers Day winners. Every child received a trophy, and if you look at our Facebook page, you can see how happy and excited all of them were after receiving their trophies. I actually printed out a copy. I'd like to give it to you all.
Thank you.
It was actually the highlight of the whole day. So Friends of Stokesdale is already planning its next event, so stay tuned to our Facebook page for the date and all event details. We finally reached 2,300 followers, which according to the 2020 census is about a third of the town's population. So Friends of Stokesdale wants to do lots of things in Stokesdale to make it the best place to live, work, and play, and we especially want to make Farmers Day one of the biggest events in downtown Stokesdale. So Friends of Stokesdale meets on the first Tuesday of every month at 7 o'clock at Stokesdale United Methodist Church. We just ask that you come to a meeting and see if there's something that you can do for your community, or just simply give us some ideas of what you would like to do. If you have anything you'd like to communicate with us about, you can always comment on our Facebook page or message us on Facebook. And we do have a new email address, friendsofstokesdale@yahoo.com, if you want to send us any emails. On a personal note, I saw Derek at Farmers Day, so I missed the rest of you, and I apologize for that. But I did want to thank Derek for providing cookies for Friends of Stokesdale to sell at Farmers Day so that we can do more good things for the Stokesdale community. We would love to have a baking contest at Farmers Day, so maybe Derek can enter.
Derek's better half has a lot to do with that.
Okay, well, since Chief Galden is not here tonight, I did make a note when I was looking up some stuff on the internet today that for the first year, this is the first time ever that the United States, I got to read this because it's the United States Department of Transportation's National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has designated October as National Pedestrian Safety Month. So with it being Halloween, I would expect that's the reason why this month was designated as that. So just want to remind everyone to be safe out there on Halloween, and at all other times. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Confession is good for the soul. Ms. Holly Reed.
Y'all this evening.
We're well. How are you?
Welcome.
Well, I'm nervous because this is the first time
Don't
I've ever
be.
spoke in front of a
You're
town
all,
council.
you're among friends.
Mr. Wagner
We don't
was,
bite.
I'm grateful for him the last time he read my email from me. So, but thank you for this opportunity and thank you for your service to our community. I come frustrated though. I come frustrated with what's going on up here at the Athens Road, 158 Angel Pardue intersection. My home is the one with the orange barrels in front of it. It was a last-ditch effort. I have spoken to Mr. Foy for several years over the problem, who referred me to Principal Bennett, who was kind of impotent with her help. I was advised by the Guilford County School System to contact the state troopers, which I did. Sergeant Mitchell was very helpful, and I appreciate that. Because of his efforts, concrete was added to their parking lot. I don't know how much, but obviously not enough for 20% increase in the car rider line in the last year. I reached out to her last fall, September 2023. She didn't have the audacity to call me back. She had her assistant principal call me back with the promise of be patient, it'll get better. It hasn't gotten better. It has gone from the Kesey mailbox 3 years ago, my mailbox, 2 houses from the intersection, to now it's at 7869, where people turn around because they're impatient, because they don't want to wait on the line. Soon, it's going to be in front of the Weeks. Shortly next year, if something don't happen soon, it'll be down in front of the daycare and the dentist office. Ask me how I know. First week of school, I walked a 3/4 mile line from the school to past the dentist office. Something needs to be done. I have no dog in the fight other than what I see from my dining room. I am watching my neighbors take their children through that intersection. And it's dangerous in the morning. But what makes it particularly dangerous in the afternoon is that we have laborers who are building in all of these houses all around here. They're taking box trucks, plumbers, electricians, landscapers, 18-wheelers with flatbeds and cherry pickers on the back full of lumber through this intersection. And the school, according to the Guilford County board member, Mr. Logan, has the audacity to tell us that we have to have a stoplight first. Where's the car rider line going to be while they're taking their time with the stoplight? Because I can tell you, as someone who's lived in this house for 11 years, half my house is windows, I'm a stay-at-home mom, I homeschool. You want to know a traffic study? At 1:45 in the afternoon, it starts building up and it starts backing down the road. You have men and women who are trying to conduct business stuck in that traffic. I hear horns blast twice a day. I have seen my daughter sitting over here as a witness, if you want to speak to her, 2 near head-on collisions in less than 5 minutes. Turn around in my front yard that almost hit my husband while he was mowing. So that was the straw that broke the camel's back. A week, Tuesday before the school started, my husband called the principal, who boasted about her extra concrete and told me again to be patient, it'll get better. I'm done being patient. Hence the orange barrels and cardboard signs. That's what it took to get a meeting with Mr. Foy, Mr. Jones, Mr. Logan, and this long title, the Assistant Superintendent of Safety and Emergency Management, Ritchie. Cardboard signs. So I come to you requesting proactiveness. We have an issue, I think, with proactiveness. This has been building up. We've been making our phone calls to everyone that's recommended, but yet it's gotten worse. So what's going to happen? Is her granddaughter going to get in a crash? Is the baby that lives next to me that has to go to daycare, is she going to be harmed? Why is the school digging their heels in when they have a $2 billion bond? $2 billion. I pay taxes. I want them to use it on the car rider line. Go on Google Earth, crow's eye view, look down on that property at the waste of space on that property. Tell me that that school could not easily, on a weekend, start working on expanding that parking lot. Double car rider line like Chick-fil-A, right, Mr. Foy? Easy.
Possibility.
One of many choices that can be done at the same time of a stoplight. Where are all of the parents going to go while they build a stoplight? Why is there a grove of trees sitting there doing nothing that is owned by the school? Why is Principal Bennett's parents hanging halfway in the road? Why are they on the shoulder of the road? They have no place to go. Why can't that shoulder be expanded between the intersection and Highway 68 and give the parents some place to go? Tower Road is a waste of space. It doesn't need to be there, and it creates way more problems than it should. Why can't it be tore up? Why can't there be a change of flow? Why is the school holding all the cards and it's their mess? Why? Because of a stoplight that we don't really need? I'm not against it. I could really care less about the stoplight. I really could. The busiest times of that intersection is 5 o'clock traffic, voting, Saturday games when the park lets out, pick up and drop off of that school. Y'all want to see a funny show? Y'all want to see a hot mess? I will buy you a Coke and a moon pie. I'll provide the chair and go sit your behinds up here at this intersection and watch what I'll watch. All you need is one day in the morning, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon. What day was it? October 3rd, when this gravel mess went up here on Athens Road. There was a flag machine that sat up here, and the crew that did it would not let the school out. I never in a million years would have thought that there would have been gridlock in Stokesdale, North Carolina. Are you kidding me? My husband and I were on the side of the road screaming at the man who was in charge to let the school traffic out because the buses were stalling. They had no place to go. There are landscapers trying to go east down Athens Road. It was a hot mess. I was on the phone with Mr. Foy. You might want to get the sheriff down here to direct traffic because it's getting ugly because no one is going anywhere. In a town with, 6,000 people? So when is this going to happen? When are we going to kick the can some more? Are we gonna do that? What's it gonna take? Down here on Hall River, 3 kids were run over before they finally got speed limit signs down there. What's it gonna take? Why are we tolerating the school system digging their heels in? They got the funding, they got the space. Why can't we say more? Why can't the principal advocate for her parents? If I was a parent sitting in that line and I knew that my principal was not making phone calls, that some random strange woman on the side of the road was doing it, I would be pretty upset. But that's why we homeschool. So, on a positive note, the lines that were drawn up there that's given Mr. Jones flashbacks to Woodstock, they've actually helped. It went from being a disorganized mess to now people pull up to that intersection, slow down, and intentionally obey those lines. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, that visual is what it took to organize that intersection and to slow people down who thought that they were Mario Andretti. But they literally do slow down. So I don't know what has to happen with the lines, but whatever, it worked. It slowed them down. And this gravel debacle, I got to ask a question. Why is Angel Pardue, why has it been paved multiple times? But Athens Road is a gravel, dusty mess right now. And from what I understand, there's other little small side roads that are the same. But the difference, I think, between them and Athens Road is that since I was in high school in 1996, yeah, those are gray hairs. Since I was in high school, we've been taking that shortcut from Highway 220 to Eversfield to Athens to Blues. That is a major thoroughfare in Stokesdale. That is a major road. Does it not deserve some care? What's up with this paving out here? It's beautiful. Can we get some of that love on Athens? Because before it was crumbling, and now it's a dusty mess. And from what I understand from a neighbor who is in that industry, they're done. We got a low budget gravel fix where the cars that travel that road are supposed to pack it down instead of getting this beautiful paved road on one of the original roads in Stokesdale. Look at those maps from the 30s. Original road, highly trafficked, no attention. When is the next meeting? Mr. Ritchie will be here, is that correct?
Correct, Thursday, November 14th. And Mr. Ritchie and District 7 of the Department of Transportation are collaborating right now on how to best address this. And I think Mr. Ritchie will be talking about that then.
I can't wait to meet him.
I know he's got a
He
long...
promised me an update.
Well, I think he's promised by extension the town one by promising that he'd come visit us, and I have full faith that he will. I had a good impression of Mr. Ritchie. He's retired Greensboro Police Department, and he does have a long title, but a very impressive
Mouthful.
Gentleman.
Well, that's promising, thank you.
I don't think you will be pleased with the timeline because things in government just do not move fast. But if there's a plan in place, which I'm being told there is, if there's a commitment to use that monster bond to fix the issue, which I'm being told it is, I mean, it's a step in the right direction, but
Since you've had an opportunity to see that 2020 plan that was backburnered that he mentioned, how long is it going to take to get this stoplight? How long is it going to take? Is there anything that the school can do now to alleviate some of the stress on that intersection without us having to wait on the bureaucracy?
I understand your question, and I think it's a great question for Mr. Ritchie, because, I mean, I'll be honest, I've been told that the school will not do anything until the DOT does something to improve. And that's why we requested that the two entities talk and rather than point fingers at each other. We can encourage a meeting, encourage progress, but, you know, the roads are owned by the state and certainly funded by the state. And the on-campus improvements are funded by us. Of course, we're funding the roads too, you know how that works. But, you know, the commitment to use the bond to make those improvements, and you mentioned a Chick-fil-A line, I think was also mentioned by Mr. Ritchie. Certainly your concerns are understood. I look forward to hearing what they're saying on November 14th. As far as what you're talking about on Athens Road, I would be shocked if that's all they're doing, if they're done with that, but I don't know. I would be shocked. That road is highly traveled.
So I'm gonna hope the same, but the person that I spoke to is someone that works for an asphalt company that does paving.
Understood.
I'm very, very familiar with their procedures, and
Understood.
I trust what he says.
And I don't know, but I'm just saying I would be
I don't
shocked.
either. I couldn't even begin.
Thank you for sharing your concerns.
You're welcome. One more thing about being proactive. We have a very, very serious condition in Western North Carolina. Very, very serious. It could possibly, something serious could happen in this town. Is there an action plan, an emergency plan, anything that the town hall could do that the residents and the citizens can come and find out, you know, if all mess hits the fan like it has, where can they go? What preparations could the town hall do? I know some previous talked about extra generators and things, but I want to put it out there that we are at a place where these things are happening, whether we like it or not. And what are we going to be able to do as a community to help our own community? Because I'm not so convinced that above local level is going to care what's happening to this little old tiny town. It's going to be us. So I'm going to put that out there. I don't need to know the answer to that, but I would like it discussed as someone who would like to be there to help their community if for some reason something ugly happened to us, like up in the mountains. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
By the way, thank you for getting over that bashfulness. Thank you.
Taking like a lead, and I feel like I'm about to throw up.
Thank you.
But it's so important to me to do what you gotta do.
Well, you did wonderful.
You did. Okay, Dina Rikisi.
Thank you. I live at 7873 Athens Road. I'm the one on the corner that gets the mess. So I don't want to be impolite, but I'm here to tell you, I'm tired of listening to, okay, well, it's the state's fault. No, it's the county's fault. Oh my God, it's the school's fault. I don't care whose fault it is anymore because I am tired of trying to get out of my driveway in the morning. I have to sit there and wait and wait. The other morning, I almost had to get out of my car and say, will somebody please stop and let me out? I mean, how ridiculous is that? Every morning, and I take my granddaughter to school. I leave my house between 7 and 7:15. I am not going down to that old car wash to turn right around and go back out toward Blues Lake to get my granddaughter to take her to school. So I try to turn left, and like I said, we face it every single day. Well, the other morning, when I picked her up and brought her back to take her into Greensboro, right here at the corner, the traffic was backed up. So, you know, we're all sitting there waiting, and one person pulled off the shoulder of the road to indicate that they were going to turn and go to the school. None of the rest of us had a signal light on saying we were going to turn. Two cars, now my granddaughter in the back seat, 4 years old, two cars came running up beside me into the yellow section. We did not have our signal light on. We were not turning. Where do you think you're going? And I sped up to get in front of that one person that thought that he was going to outrun me. Now, I didn't want to endanger my granddaughter, but I'm going to tell you, that's ignorance. That's ignorance and a death trap. And I'm frankly done with it. I've been in this neighborhood for 30 years. 30 years. And I have never seen such chaos and right in front of my house. And then when they do turn, if they don't want to wait their turn, they're tearing up my yard. Now you can say, okay, it's the state's right of way. Bull hockey. The state does not maintain it. I've never seen them once come out and mow the grass or clean up the rocks. I maintain that. So the audacity of those people to come and just slide in my yard like it's nobody's business, nobody cares. Okay, that's one thing, okay? And like I said, I am sorry, but I'm fed up with it. I'm tired. I don't want to be in an accident. I don't want another child to be in an accident. I don't want to put my babies at risk. So something's got to be done. And I don't want to hear passing the buck. Well, we got to wait for this. We got to wait for that. Excuse me, how many years do we have to wait? And I don't plan on leaving the coroner anytime soon unless somebody wants to donate me some property someplace else. So I'm sorry if I sound rude, but really, it's up to here. It's up to here. And when you have to sit in your driveway, just waiting. And I'll tell you like I tell the Greensboro City Council when they talk about the homeless that are parked out in front of the Church Street library. Get off your butt and come there at 7 o'clock in the morning and you walk through that maze. So I'm telling you the same thing. Show up here in the morning. See what it's like. See if you'd like to sit in it. Deal with it twice a day. I've yet to see city council come down to that library and check out the homeless people that we face on a daily basis. And you know what? I have no control over that. But as a citizen here, I want to see something done. I want to see something done. And again, I don't care who has to do it. I don't want you passing the buck. If there's money there, then by God, use the money to help your citizens. Okay, my second issue is the speeding. Now, I keep hoping that Guilford County will park a car right out here at Athens one morning and one afternoon, because these people that run up and down this road are not doing any 35 miles an hour. They're doing at least 50. And I watch them go down there and speed, and it just grates on me because, again, we keep our grandchildren a lot. They're out in the yard playing, not unsupervised. But then you have residents here that walk on Athens Road or ride their bikes to come to the park. Are we waiting for one of them to get hit by a speeder because we're not taking any action? It's a real problem. Now, a few weeks ago when they were working on the, putting, I guess, those stripes up, they had put like a temporary speed bump in front of my house. And I said, thank you, Jesus, because they had to slow down. And when the guys came to level that out, I went out there and begged him. I said, please, 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 this is the best peace we've had in a long time. But he said it wasn't up to him. I would have paid him to leave it there. But we have to do something. I know you say we don't have the money to pay a deputy sheriff, whatever. I don't know where the money's going to come from. I know we have money, but whose responsibility is it to keep us from getting killed? I don't understand it. I don't understand that nothing's been done. I don't understand that nobody else is aware of the fact that these idiots run up and down that road, Athens Road, every single day. speeding. And those trucks with the noise, those low riders they call them, I've said, in jest of course, one of these days I'm gonna get me a nail strip and sling it out in that road and see how well they like it. Because I value the life of my family more than I do their vehicle. So I'm asking you to be proactive and do something. And if it means that we have to go to the county to talk to them, I don't have a problem with that. I'd be happy to go talk to the county commissioners. But I don't want them telling me the same thing that we're hearing here about, well, the school can't, the county can't, we can't. I don't want to hear it anymore. This is our home, our residents, our children that we should be looking after. And you should be just as responsible as I am. So I'm asking you to do something or tell us who we can go to that will make a difference. And I know you're saying it will take time. I'm sorry. Another 3 years is not going to cut it. It's just not going to cut it. Things happen quicker than that. They can. So please, please address this issue more than just in a conversation or a piece of paper or a phone call. Make it happen for your people that you are sitting behind these chairs supposed to be taking care of. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Let us say this. I would encourage you to go talk to the council, to the county commissioners. They're the people that control all of the purse strings. Your dedication to this is very obvious. If you talk to them, let them know what your feelings are about this, and the two of you together. I don't know where you've been. I know that Mr. Foy has been trying to help you with this. Since I've been here in the last 3 years, we've tried to address this, and we, like you, run into many of the same roadblocks. It's somebody else's problem. I'm very sympathetic to what the principal's going through. She really has very little, if any, control whatsoever. Mr. Goebel is running for the school board. He may have better insight on what can be done with that money than any of us here. But that bond money, I'm not sure they were even going to spend a dime on Northwest Guilford. Am I correct?
I don't know. I mean,
That money towards smarter schools. They're building up the new schools and they're leaving
Okay.
the elementary schools
Okay.
and the old neighborhoods hanging.
Okay, that's,
That's what they're doing.
you have as much say with them, as we do.
I've had great success from Mr. Logan going to bat for us
Yes,
and speaking on behalf for us.
yes, yes.
Logan
Excellent
and
advocate.
Sergeant Mitchell of the Highway Patrol have been the two people. You want the list that I've called? I've called everybody. But I didn't elect everybody.
Complete side note.
I elected y'all.
We don't mind you sharing any information that you may have, that, as far as the folks you've contacted with.
I've
No,
gone through and
you-
timestamped all my information.
I understand.
Here's the slideshow.
If-
Anytime someone wants that moon pie, I will buy it for them.
Ma'am, if you want to provide it to the town clerk, I'll certainly have a look-see at it.
What did you say?
I said, if you want to provide it to the town clerk, I will certainly read it and take it into account going forward. Maybe you've talked to someone I've missed that I need to speak to, so perfectly willing to do that, and I'm sure the other council members are also.
Well, I'm sure the list that y'all know the same list. I don't know.
That's the sad part.
I don't know who to talk to. I just know y'all have a safety problem.
It's not in their hands. You know, I understand your problem because with the road and whatnot, but it's kind of out of not that, it's not that they.
If I get phone numbers for everybody in this room, will you call on our behalf too?
Well, I'll have to just say.
Thank you.
Okay, I just have to say, I'm gonna give you the number of the man that helped me with my road as far as the paving goes, okay? But they really are compassionate people, but it's not that they don't wanna help you. There are things that are allotted to all different people to handle, okay? And that's out of their hands right now.
I made a phone call. Is a cell phone out of their hand, ma'am? I appreciate what you're saying.
But
I really do.
Mr.
But sometimes, you wanna know the reason why I put those barrels out? Was because I wanted bad publicity.
Mayor.
You wanna know what kind of attention?
Ladies, I'm not sure this is the time. I'm really not sure this is the time. Let's come to order.
Okay, my question then is, you've suggested that we go to, the
County commissioners.
county commissioners.
Yes, the county commissioners.
The roads, et cetera. What about?
As far as the money, you want to get the road done, you're going to have to go to North Carolina DOT, is my understanding. North Carolina DOT is a bureaucracy. They're not elected by anyone. They're appointed, but they're not elected.
Who are you suggesting that I go to about the speeding issue?
Again, that's DOT. They put up the signs.
Well, let me address that.
Yes,
And
Mr. Rigsby.
I don't know, without going out there and looking at it, I'm just gonna talk in a very general level here. If there are not any signs posted, are there signs posted on that road?
Yes.
Or what are they? Are they 35?
They're 35.
So as long as the sign is posted and it is speed limit, in the rule, and since if it's inside the town of Stokesdale, it's 35. When you get outside the town, it's 55, even on a rural road. So the Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Office both have traffic teams. You can certainly call the Highway Patrol. I know Justin Mitchell very well. They'd be glad to send somebody out here, and they'll do what they call a 307A, and they'll basically assign people to come out here and patrol at certain times of the day. Sheriff's Office is not exempt from that either. I try to hold my tongue on my opinion on the Sheriff's Office and their issues, but I don't. They need to be a part of that. This in their county, it's their roads. They can write traffic. They can write speeding tickets as well. They have a whole fleet of Mustangs that can come out here and ride that road just as well as Highway Patrol can. So don't get confused that it has to be the Highway Patrol or it has to be. Now that's the only two agencies you talk about: Sheriff's Department and Highway Patrol. That's the only two that have jurisdiction up here. But I would call both of them, and I would demand that the sheriff pay some attention up here. He's an elected official. He answers to the public just like everybody else does. Now, I'm just talking about the speeding part, but both of them have the power. And I believe the sheriff's office, if I'm not mistaken, has a speed trailer. Maybe you could request the local district, which is over in Summerfield, Deputy Sergeant Seals, and see if they can put the speed trailer on that road, and that'll hopefully. Did they put it out there?
No, they didn't.
So I would follow up with his boss then. Again,
You see why my frustration?
no, I agree, and
Still
I
percolating.
agree, and I'll tell you from a history standpoint, I have sat with the principal over there several years ago. My wife was a teacher at Stokesdale. I've sat with her. I've looked at that plan that was originally done by DOT and funded by DOT, and has yet to be enacted by the school system or DOT.
They backburned it because of COVID.
And then you've also got you got some septic issues on the property, and they don't want to invest in moving the septic tank lines to, because one of my suggestions was we develop a road around the gym, the backside of the gym, kind of around that parking lot.
Is that where the septic lines lie though?
They are in that back corner, the back corner.
Right there at, Highway 68 where that fence comes, and you got that after-school section of the building where the car rider line loops around. Could we not extend some of their parking lot into that corner?
There's something in there too.
Playing there anyway, they could get hit by a car.
I'd have to.
Not extend it onto their property? They not rearrange their parking spaces? There's a giant grassy place with an enormous rock in the middle of it.
I mean, you're talking about on the school property
I'm
itself.
talking about if you go to Google Maps,
Mm-hmm.
crow's eye view, looking down on that property, there is so much wasted space that you don't even have to go behind the gym.
Yeah, and I agree.
I mean, come on, there's so much wasted space down there.
Yeah, and there's other options. I'm sure they've looked at them, but staggering load-in time, staggering by grade, stuff like that. But when you get parents that show up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to sit there to be the first in line, that doesn't help their cause either. And every school in the county, on this side of the county's got that problem. So I feel you. I've got kids in school. Like I said, my wife taught over there for a few years. We, as a council, we have met with DOT on this. We have met with the school system. And it's truly out of our hands. We can't make the school or the county do something. If we could, we'd make them fund a deputy out here at first week of school instead of us having to pay for it. And
Should not be Stokesdale.
nope, I vote no for it every time, and I don't mind going on the record to say that.
Still out there. Mr. Apple was very friendly.
So-
He came down and asked me why I had orange barrels in front of
Yeah.
my house and if there was gonna be a problem.
So.
I said, no, and they're not stolen either.
So the school system, in my opinion, is,
By private
the
citizens.
school system should be driving that issue, and all I can tell you is call your school board, call not only the local guy, from what we've learned from meeting with Mr. Logan and Mr. Goble as well, when he was on the school board, is they are oftentimes just as left out of the big conversation as we are, you know, like, I know, Mr. Logan, I mean, he's talked about, you know, they're not even informed what properties that they're looking at to buy for like these school expansions until it's there. So when you think about from a big picture, you know, it's not like they're informed on everything either. And there's apparently a juggernaut at the top of the school board that's controlling a lot of these information flows, and Dina Hayes Green, I believe is his name. I would start right there. I would not limit my, Dina Hayes Green, I believe she's the chairman of the board. I would start right there, and she's a public servant, and she serves the entire county, not just her, district or ward, and, I would start there, and I would wear her out, cause she can drive.
For 3 years now.
I agree. And she can drive the conversation with DOT, and she should be driving the conversation with DOT and the county employees to make that happen, because that's their issue. Let's be very clear, that is their issue. And we're compassionate as a board. You know, we all have kids that have gone through there. We've all sat in that line. We all, you know, not telling us nothing we don't know, but obviously not to the daily extent that you guys have. But if we could, we would, but.
I'm sorry, but I was speaking to Mr. Logan not too long ago, who was dropping his children off when the road went all the way down.
I know, and I like to say,
Those days are over, and the debacle that's down the road is dangerous.
I get you, and
I'm taking no for an answer.
I would, Miss Hayes would be where I would start if it was me. I would start with her and the superintendent of the school system, because at this point, it needs to be at a higher level, because they need to be able to push the issue back down and get it done, so.
The superintendent's name, what's her name? Dr. Oakley. Miss Oakley? Yeah. I'm gonna send this video to her office, calling her and Dina Hayes out. We need something done down here. And we need to do it before the stoplight, y'all. Where's the DOT gonna set up their equipment? Where the parents gonna go?
I don't know, man.
Right out in the middle of the mess. What about the people that have day jobs?
Yeah,
That just wanna commute back and forth to feed their families and get lined up?
I don't know.
Customers to answer to, the lawns to mow.
We're very sympathetic to the questions, but we don't have those kinds of answers. We really don't. But we'll certainly listen, and I think we've done that this evening. So thank you for bringing it to us. We'll continue to do what we can do, but as limited as that may be. But we need to move on if we can. Alvin Robinson.
Thank you. Again, my name is Alvin Robinson. I reside at 2139 Huffine Mill Road in McLeansville, so I'm not a citizen here in Stokesdale, but so I certainly do appreciate you all being willing to allow me to speak tonight. I am running for North Carolina State Senate District 26. I'm opposing Phil Berger and Democrat Steve Luking. Stokesdale currently sits in State Senate District 26, and so that's why I wanted to speak to you all tonight as the council, and also I know this is recorded so that your citizens also will know of their choice for State Senate this year. I'm a biblical constitutional conservative running as a member of the Constitution Party, recently certified here in North Carolina. As you all do here in Stokesdale, I believe that the one true God, whose Son is Jesus Christ, is the one responsible for the blessings of liberty that we in America and here in North Carolina have long enjoyed. So I certainly appreciate the nature of your prayer in opening up this evening. It's truly representing the people to open up in that way. My professional background, I had 19 years, nearly 19 years of service with Greensboro Fire Department, where I served as a captain, and also the latter 8 of that 19-year period, I was a part-time deputy with Guilford County Sheriff's Office. My wife and children, who, if you hadn't noted, they're with me here tonight. They're in the back. We operate a small farm, poultry and pork farm over in McLeansville, along with many other things, and we homeschool our children. Like many of the residents throughout the State Senate District 26, I know that many of you here in Stokesdale have your concerns about who will represent you for the next 2 years in our state Senate. Mr. Berger is a concern for many of you because he has been known to overstep his bounds as a governmental official. Ask your neighboring township, Summerfield. Further, Mr. Berger has not held to traditional conservative values with regards to his voting record. For an example, his decisions to expand Medicaid and his lack of effort, along with other Republican lawmakers, to produce legislation that would have ended the murder of the unborn here in North Carolina. My other opponent, Mr. Luking, will not work to protect your rights, the rights of the citizens of Stokesdale, as he continues to express his ideas about more gun control in North Carolina and his ideas about the continuation of allowing children or the unborn to be murdered, which is totally against the will of God and that's acknowledged in our state constitution. I, Alvin Robinson, will uphold your God-given rights to live out your God-given liberties. For the citizens of Stokesdale and all citizens who reside in North Carolina State Senate District 26, I will uphold the U.S. and the North Carolina constitutions that secure the blessings of liberty for you and for your posterity. I will protect individual freedom, in other words, religious liberty, medical freedom, rights of conscience, and the Second Amendment. I will promote the general welfare, parental rights, in other words, parental rights and parental consent, parental choice in education, the right to live, work, and enjoy the fruits of our labor without government interference, small business opportunities, and through deregulation. No casinos in North Carolina, and certainly they won't come to your backyard here in Stokesdale. I will help to ensure the passing of liberty to our posterity or the next generation. The way I will work to propose, to pass bills that keep North Carolina free from tyranny. I believe in the sanctity of life. I believe in limited and transparent government. I do not support socialism nor communism.
Mr. Robinson, if we could, let's wrap it up, please, sir. 3
Yes,
minutes
sir.
is
Yes,
what
sir.
we're left.
Hey, we
Mayor,
just spent 30 minutes with 2 speakers, so I think we should let him finish.
If I may,
I can
Mayor,
satisfy everybody
I'm
because
being
I have about
overruled.
2 more lines and I'll
I'm
be
enjoying
finished.
what you're saying, but
Yes, sir. Yes,
we-
sir.
we have some
Absolutely.
time
Absolutely.
constraints.
I respect that. I'm a biblical constitutional conservative. If anyone wants to find out more about me, you can go to my website, Alvin Robinson, the numeral 4, ncsenate.com. There you can find out more about me, where I stand on the issues. You can also see how you can contact me there, whether it be through email, through phone number, and things of that nature. Again, Alvin Robinson, the number 4, ncsenate.com. Thank you.
no, sir, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
as just a point here, we've let 2 speakers speak for well over 10 minutes each. This is why some places, they have a stopwatch for the speakers, but I know Mr. Alvin Robertson, and I'm very impressed with the man, and I would have appreciated you let him finish speaking. I don't know how we'll address this in the future, but, you know, if we're gonna let speakers speak, we're gonna have to let them speak for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever it is. But it's important to me that we don't let one speaker speak for 5 minutes and another 20 minutes and another one 8 minutes. So I don't know how we're gonna deal with this, but apologize to you, sir. You know, you've sat here through other commenters for quite a period of time on an important issue. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I protest.
Point well taken. Maria Adams.
My goodness, I love coming to your meetings. My name is Maria Adams. I live in Summerfield, and I appreciate the opportunity to address the council tonight. I had a speech prepared, but with everything that's been said, I just feel like there's a couple things I just wanted to bring up. And was Ms. Wagner? I'm sorry, I missed your name when they said your name. My name is Holly Reed, Miss Reed. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, my apologies. Well, I just wanted to tell Ms. Reed that I'm part of a group called Moms for Liberty, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But what we do is we work to help parents address issues on the school board level, and I'm going to commit to you that I will do what I can to help you. And I know that Mr. Logan Mr. Logan was sitting right there beside me, is certainly committed to helping you. And I know it's very frustrating, this process. I've dealt with things with the school board, and I'm also frustrated with how long things take. But whatever I can do to help you, I will absolutely do that. So the other thing I wanted to say is, Mr. Jones, thank you for what you said as well. I actually do also know Mr. Robinson and his wife and his family. Wonderful people, incredible people, and I live in Summerfield, so I'm a product of the horrible decisions that were made with our NCGA de-annexing that property, and I can tell you that Mr. Robinson would never have let that happen. He would have never have let that happen. He would stand with the people, and that is what he is all about, and he is a constitutionalist, and he is a man of faith, he and his family. And so I 100% endorse him, although I'm really nobody, but I totally stand by the Robinson family. Okay, so the other things I was going to say. And since everybody else got 20 minutes, I'm going to take an hour. Is that okay? All right, no, I'm just kidding.
Go for it.
No, I do want to respect your time, so thank you so much. So I am here also in my official capacity with the Moms for Liberty organization. I'm the chair of the Guilford County chapter. And one thing I wanted to bring to your attention, and it'll actually be printed in the Northwest Observer in next month's issue, is a very unsettling, it's just a really bad situation with the Title IX. And if you're familiar with Title IX, it was enacted in 1972 by Congress to ensure that women have the equal rights to education and to sports. Well, Joe Biden and his Department of Education has completely rewritten Title IX without congressional authorization, and they have changed the definition of sex, which was to mean biological sex, male and female, but now sex is defined by Joe Biden and his Department of Education as sex stereotypes, sex-related characteristics, pregnancy or related conditions, sexual orientation, and gender identity. And so because of these Title IX regulations and that they're tied to federal monies that are given to our schools, schools are forced to adopt these regulations and these policies. So Moms for Liberty sued the Department of Education and was awarded a preliminary injunction. And in that injunction, the members, the students whose parents are members of Moms for Liberty, the Department of Education cannot enforce Title IX on those students or the schools that those students go to. For example, I have a child at Northwest High School. So because I'm a Moms for Liberty member, the Department of Education cannot enforce their 2024 Title IX regulations on my child or anybody in the whole school. So our goal has been over the last couple of months, we got this preliminary injunction a few months ago. So our goal has been making sure that we have at least one parent at every school in Guilford County Schools so that they're protected under this injunction, all right? So I went to Dr. Oakley and I went to all the board members and shared this information with them and sent them all the documents, all the documents related to the case. I even had a meeting. Dr. Oakley was kind enough to have a meeting with me, and it was also with board member Chrissy Pratt, their board attorney, Elizabeth Troutman, and the director of student services. And we went through all of this process. But nonetheless, their attorney told them that they needed to move forward with these Title IX changes. So there was a vote on it, on the policy, 2 nights ago. And Mr. Logan, being the constitutionalist that he is, he said no. He voted no on these Title IX changes on this policy, along with the 2 Republican board members, Chrissy Pratt and Linda Wilburn, also voted no. But unfortunately, because there's a majority Democrat board, and they align to the policies of Joe Biden, they voted yes. So I think what's important to understand is that there's going to be a drastic change in how students are going to be addressed if they violate any Title IX regulations. And they've taken out also due process. So basically, a Title IX coordinator can then take a discrimination complaint and make decisions without even a due process. So with all that being said, we are having an interest meeting for Moms for Liberty so that we can explain this. We have a slideshow and everything. We're going to explain all the details of this and answer questions. I'm sure Mr. Logan will be there if he's able to with his schedule. And we invite anybody to come to that meeting. I actually tried to schedule it here, but you've got voting starting soon. So I was not able to schedule the meeting here, but it will be at the Difference Church on October the 22nd. So again, that will be posted in the Northwest Observer here next month. And then the last thing I wanted to say, and I really don't like bringing this up because it's uncomfortable for everybody, but I think it's important to remember that Mr. Logan was the person that was nominated by the Republican Party to be sat on the board, on the school board, when Pat Tillman vacated the seat. And because the chairperson that we were speaking about earlier, Dina Hayes Greens, has a personal issue with Mr. Logan, she was derelict in her duty, and she convinced the other Democrats to keep him off the board. And so it was quite the fight to get him on the board. And in that process, Dina Hayes Green and Goebel, that you mentioned earlier, had a secret meeting with the board chair, Jill Wilson. And they had made a backdoor deal to get Goebel on the board. And so he took a seat that belonged to Mr. Logan for himself, knowing that we were trying to get Mr. Logan seated. And there were many people that tried to tell him how wrong that is, but he wouldn't listen. And so he stayed on the board, and it took a legislative action to remove him. And he still didn't want to leave. He had his attorney try to keep him on the board, and then we had the taxpayers had to pay additional monies in order, because of the situations with the attorneys. And so finally, he vacated the seat. But on his way out, in a Greensboro News and Record interview, Goebel said, "I'm better suited to serve on the board than someone who changes tires," referring to Mr. Logan's 26-year teaching job at Guilford County Schools as an automotive instructor. So if that tells you anything about a man's character, then I think you should re-elect Mr. Logan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Michael Logan.
Thank you for what you do. Y'all have a tough job. Ms. Reed, I didn't hear your conversation, but I'm fairly certain I know exactly what you were talking about. So, and if you notice, I did respond to every one of your emails, conversations, phone calls, text message. I believe I did. If I didn't, I'm sorry.
No complaints of your efforts, and I appreciate them. Thank you.
So, actually, I was out here this evening to invite the public out to Guilford County Schools Choice Showcase. It is at Greensboro Coliseum, and it will be on October 16th from 5:30 to 8 p.m. There's a lot of things, we have issues and problems in our schools, but I'm going to tell you the one positive we have within our schools is the academies, is the programs and specialty items within our schools and instruction. If the public would like to come out and find out what those are, please come out to Greensboro Coliseum on October 16th and sign up. And these processes for these magnet schools and the programs within these schools is you have to sign up for it, and there is a time frame for doing that. Now, that has changed to a certain degree. Elementary schools have been changed from October 23rd to November 22nd. It's already been pushed back a little bit, and that was due to a situation we had at Moorhead Elementary within Guilford County Schools. I want to say Moorhead Elementary is over by Colonial Apartments off Mears Chapel, and we actually have 2 students that come from Stokesdale all the way out to those schools. And they love that program so much, they drive their kids every day to that school in that program, as do a number of students in the Northwest area and community. The Midland High School sign-up period has already, or is opening up on October 9th and going to November 27th. But in all of these programs, you do have to sign up for them. You can take tours of the school, but these will be for the 25-26 school year, and it is one of the absolute positives we do within our schools. And thank you, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Logan.
One question, if I may, Mr. Logan. Do you have any updated information about the traffic situation at the Stokesdale Elementary School?
Only thing I have
Nothing we
is,
wouldn't.
I have talked to Phil Berger in conversation. He said email him, send him a text about it. He could do, whether he could do anything, he did not say anything, but he did say, send him a message, and I believe I relayed that. And I think that is where we need to do, because DOT is a bureaucracy. It's a bureaucracy, and we need to take elected officials asking the questions. Guilford County Schools, as we found out, they said they will do the changes, but they're not going to do any changes until there's a stoplight.
Correct.
Thank you. We'll.
Mr. Logan, outside this meeting, would you mind sharing with me how you got in touch with Mr. Berger? I failed to do so. I failed to get a call back when I called his office, and
I left a message, and I did not receive a phone call back, and it was at a GOP Republican meeting. I'm going to corner everybody wherever I can. And
No, I understand.
he said, and at that point, he said, leaving messages, he just has so many.
Right.
But he
But
did
you as a
say,
school board
put a
member
situation.
and myself,
Yeah.
we didn't
I
get
would think you
callbacks.
should have got a response.
If I may, sir.
I will say with that situation at Moorhead, I had over probably 150 to 200 emails, and each one got a personal response. So if you're not communicating,
Do
you're
you
not
have
doing
an
your job as
assistant?
an elected
Do you have an
official.
assistant? Mr. Berger has an assistant, and that's who
No,
I
I don't
spoke
have,
with.
I couldn't answer those questions.
I
Is
do
your
have that
assistant named
assistance.
Pam?
I have her contacted.
Well, she is my better half, and she dresses me too, so.
Also, I just wanted to bring up something we haven't discussed. I know DOT is a bureaucracy, but they do have an appointed board, and the board chairman just reside here in Greensboro and Guilford County, Michael Fox. You may want to reach out to him and see if he can help influence a little bit there, or at least give you some guidance, put you in the right direction. He is a representative of the board in our area.
Is there a way to get his number? Because when I try to look up numbers online, I get portal. When you try to communicate on portal, you get no response.
If you'll just Google Michael Fox, NCDOT, it comes right up, and he's a board member, and I don't know about his contact information right this second, but, I mean, he's the chairman of the board, so he's definitely got the contact information online.
And I am a firm believer in numbers, and if you want to get things changed, you have to get people out, get people behind you, and one person saying something doesn't make a difference. As in with the legislation that we had passed, it was numbers. It was people reaching out and calling, people emailing, contacts, and numbers are making a difference.
Thank you, Mr. Logan.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any further? Yes, sir. Mr. Goble.
Good evening. You guys have a tough job. I want to say good evening not only to yourselves, but the staff and the citizens of Stokesdale. Thank you for your service. It's not easy. We all have the desire to solve the problems, but we don't have necessarily the contacts or those influences. I will say for Phil Berger, I had him put a bill in, Senate Bill 400, for the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. We were not getting school access to go in and do our scout days. And I worked with him, and he took my calls. I had many meetings with him. I had a meeting with him when I went on before I got on the school board, and he told me that I'd be a good candidate for that. He knew about me doing that. Let me address something that my good friend Marie Adams keeps saying, which is false. There were no secret meetings. When I decided to go for the school board, I was having a coffee with the GOP head, David Gleason, Eagle Scout, and we're talking bourbon. I said, tell me what's going on with the school board. He said, we're trying to get this guy Logan in, but he said some stupid stuff on Facebook, and the Democrats are keeping him off. I said, oh, okay, it sounds like you need to change horses and get a different person. He said, nah, John Hardister's going to clear up the law because the school board has found a loophole, and John Hardister wants an alternative solution with 3 names, and we're looking for a 3rd name. I said, I'll volunteer. And I said, on one condition. He said, what's that? I check with my wife, and if she says yes, then I'll do it. So the next day, he called me. He says, are you in? I said, I'm in. I get a call about it 2 hours later from John Hardister. He says, your name's on this list. Are you serious? I said, absolutely. I'll be happy to serve. He said, you'd be great with your business background, your scouting background, your youth background, and you could be reelected. We'd support you. So I said, well, it's not up to me. It's up to the executive committee of the GOP, which Michael sits on. So I called BJ Barnes. I said, BJ, how do I get a hold of the executive committee? How do I approach them and let them know I have an interest? I didn't volunteer my name without having a commitment to do it. So he says, you send an email to David Gleason, and I want you to draft it, send it to me. I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to give you my support. And you start out by saying, I support Michael Logan, which I did. And he got that email. All the people got the email. And it said, if he can't get in, I'd like to be considered. Here's my credentials. And we did that. And then BJ called me and he says, Bill, you got to do one more thing. I said, what's that? You got to call every person on the executive committee and either meet with them or talk to him on the phone, which I did. I even met Michael Logan. I explained what was going on. So it was no secret. So following week, I happened to be going to Raleigh for my nonprofit. And I met Hardister, Berger, Faircloth, and they all said, we want you on the school board. Chief Justice Paul Newby called me. He was a personal friend. He says, do you have the phone number for David Gleason? I said, I do. Would you give it to me? I'm going to call him and endorse you. He did that. And the way I know he did that, because Paul called me right after he did it. So the idea there's a secret meeting is a bunch of hooey. I was there, Maria. You weren't. So here's what happened. On April 4th, my brother's dying in cancer in California. I'm out in California trying to help him go to the other side. And I get a call. If you're in town on April 4th, we'd like to have a meeting with you. And that call was on April 4th at about 11:30 in the morning. We want a meeting with you at 2:30 at Brooks Pierce with Jill Wilson, Dina Hayes, and the Chief of Staff. By the way, all this is documented in a deposition that they sued me and the rest of the school board members on and wasted $80,000 of the school board money on this stupid stuff. So I think Michael Logan should pay part of that. The people did it because it's a waste of money. The school board needs the money for the schools. So anyhow, I take this meeting, and it's the first time I've ever met Dina Hayes. She walked up the street, I wouldn't know who she was. I knew nobody on that board, except one person I met once, and that was Bellamy Small. I met her because her son needed help with a project that he was working on, and I was able to help him. So I'm sitting there in a meeting, she's going through the law, how they didn't follow the law. The Republicans screwed up. And she found a loophole. She says, would you serve? And I said, absolutely, I will serve. And that's the truth. And there's depositions that back it up, including depositions from Mr. Logan. So now I'm going to tell you why I'm here. I reside at 1402 West Ridge Road in Greensboro. As you know, I had the pleasure of serving on the board for roughly 6 months, and I'm currently seeking reelection for this upcoming ballot. At your last meeting, you were treated to an unbiased and objective speech from Marie Adams, who, after attacking me many, many times, gave her endorsement to Mr. Logan. However, there were several things that Mrs. Adams neglected to mention. Mr. Logan, during his tenure as a teacher and in social media posts, was perceived by some of his coworkers and students as being overly bigoted, which explains why the school board was so resistant to putting him on the school board. Mr. Logan, at a recent candidate forum that I attended, introduced himself as a racist and a bigot. Perhaps he was intending to be sarcastic, but it wasn't received that way by the audience. Mr. Logan, using his email as TJW Hunter, the Great White Hunter, participated and planned an attendance at the demonstration of the January 6, 2021, Washington, D.C., one of the darkest days in our nation's history. So if you want a hard right-wing MAGA Republican who makes inflammatory remarks in the mold of Mark Robinson and Michelle Morrill, then Mr. Logan's your candidate. If you want a person with a business experience who can reach across the aisle and get results between Democrats, Republicans, and independents for Stokesdale and our District 3, and also from our controlled Democratic board, then I'm your candidate. The final honoree of Mrs. Adams' remarks is that while she criticizes Summerfield residents like herself having complained that the legislator overstepped their boundary by de-annexing the 1,000 acres, she approves of legislation that kicked me out. First time in the history of North Carolina that the schools, they kick someone off a school board. I really wish more of our Republican leadership. And when I sit with Berger and those guys, I'm going to tell them, guys, come on, this has got to stop. This is not the way to run a government. You're all business folks here. And you run a business, you run this town. And you have to manage staff reading and managing profit and loss statements. My question to you is, when you hire someone, and I'm talking about hiring someone for the school board, you go as a first question is, are you a D or an R? Or do you hire them on qualifications and experience? Of course you hire them on qualifications and experience. None of my opponents have my qualifications or experience. None of my opponents have the connections I have. You're talking about trying to reach Phil Berger? I can get to Phil Berger. So humbly I ask for your vote for school board in District 3. Let's move our school forward to become the best school system, not only in North Carolina, but the United States. I want a positive projection, and I'm willing to help out any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goebel. Would anyone else like to speak, yea or nay, for, against, whatever may be up? Maria?
At the end, we'll have another public comments.
We've got to move forward.
We have public comments at the end.
Take a 7-minute break.
Okay, you're going to move on to new business?
Mr. Mayor, may I request that we take a 7-minute break?
Absolutely. 7-minute break, please. Say that again?
Anyway, move the election up a little bit, get it over with.
So what happened was, from the intersection in, between the intersection and Stephen and Steve's property, was one of those automatic flags. And it only allowed, it was so deep that it only allowed about 5 o'clock. And you know that congestion at that intersection.
Picture you sitting outside the bus sitting there not.
There was gridlock in Stokesdale. So my husband went up to one of the ladies and was like, "You better sit there and sit and sit down, it's up to you." So you were talking about these trucks, drive that was back up. It wasn't really bad. And meanwhile, the buses are letting down and it's congestion and no one's budging there and it's gridlock and I'm like,
That would be nice, my friend. Oh, Lord mercy. Oh, thank you, bless you.
I'm in another world. Or you maybe do it in between and take a lunch break while they're letting that people come back in a minute. They work so fast.
Thank you.
Just today, much, just Ellisboro Road.
No, I'm gonna look at you and say, good?
I'm sorry?
I'm gonna look at you and say, everything.
Oh,
That's it?
yeah, I did not hear you. So anybody else on the board?
That's your Mr. Fox, Doug. Yeah, like it.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah.
Going to the chop house.
Mayor, you want to give this to the clerk?
I think I will. Mr. Wagner,
I'll run it over.
I'd like for him to put it on the website. What do you think? Can you put that on the website?
There's a lot of cuteness going on there.
Yes, let's do both. Robinson a preacher?
Consideration of infant town center enterprise.
He's certainly got the oratory skills.
He's a fireman, a deputy, and a farmer. I don't know if he's got much.
A deputy?
Yeah, I think he was reserve.
Oh. Captain on the fire department.
Yeah. And they fired him over that shot. He didn't want to take the COVID shot. If I remember right, they fired him.
How much did he make off of that, you know?
Oh, I don't know any details.
Yes.
Right, that was it.
Ain't nobody leaving this late.
Yeah.
They gonna say this thing to the end.
At least they beat us over
What is this purgatory?
All right.
Is this a penalty vote? What do we call this?
Let me call it back to order, please. We're going to move on to new business. Number 9, consideration of investment of funds from the Town of Stokesdale Water Enterprise Fund into certificate of deposit account, registry service, CDARs. Mr. Foy.
Yes, this, I put this on the agenda really out of extreme abundance of caution. I would offer that the state statutes would direct the finance officer to invest idle funds how she best sees fit for the town, but I did want to talk about this. I do believe that we're cash heavy in the money market account in the Water Enterprise Fund. I'll ask Kim to expand on that. And I would ask, after Kim discusses, it's my thinking that we should move $600,000 or a number that Kim thinks is better to CDARs, where we would get a higher rate of return on our money. So Kim, if you could just expand on that in our discussions outside of here and your discussions with the Bank of Oak Ridge. Thank you.
Yes, we have, and it's in our Fidelity operating account, where we're very cash heavy. And I think that, you know, it would be a strategic, you know, move at least around, I was thinking 500,000 to 600,000, after running numbers today, and yesterday, I do think that 600,000 would be fit. I did speak with Tammy Barbie at Bank of Oak Ridge and did receive some numbers from her for the CDARs. She told me that for 12 months it would be 3.75, and for 24 months would be 3.5. Now, it does concern me with interest rates dropping like they are dropping, that, you know, I know that the 12 months sounds better, but at the end of the day, I think the 24 months would actually guarantee us at 3.5%. That's my mentality of my thinking on it. To move $600,000 from the Water Enterprise account, our account ending in 0345, into CDAR with Bank of Oak Ridge.
May I suggest that you stair-step it? You do half of it on the you said the first interest rate is what?
3.7, yeah,
Okay, and it'll mature in,
12 months,
okay, and then the second one is,
3.5,
and it matures,
24.
okay. I would suggest stair-stepping them. They'll both mature at the same time. Am I right? No, that's not right. The first one's going to mature in 12 months. The reason I'm saying that is if you roll them, You just keep rolling them. That way you have half the money available to you every 12 months.
Do we need the money available to us, though? I mean, where are we at? Is that,
Would you, Ms. Thacker, would you tell us the current amount in that fund, just for the record, please?
In the checking account,
In the Fidelity Fund that you're speaking of moving out of?
it's 1.3 million
Okay.
in that account. Yes. I feel as if the projects that are being done, again, that's up to you guys and as far as that goes, but we will be using grant funds for those projects. So again, I feel that we're cash heavy in this one account, and it's sitting, it's making 0.05% when we could put it into at least 600,000 into a CDR, and at least 3.5% or.
All right. I think it's obviously a proper move. It costs us $500 every week that we're not doing it. I'll make a motion that Finance Officer Kim Thacker move $600,000 from the Fidelity account over to Bank of Oak Ridge in the CDR account in the term of 2 years at 3.25%. Is that what Tammy quoted? 3.5? Thank you, ma'am. 3.5%.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Foy?
Sir.
We're undertaking an expansion of our water system on Ellisboro Road right now, and there's, for one, it's very small, very short. I don't think there's any rock over there. On the other hand, we're working towards the water main project to down 65 and Coldwater, and there's a probability of hitting rock over on Coldwater and so forth. If so, that likely would be at the town's expense. Has anybody contemplated how much we should hold in reserve for that project?
So I would offer for that project, both projects we're doing, well, let's break this down project by project. We've received a $600,000 cash upfront, cash outlay from Guilford County of that $3.1 million grant that we got. So roughly $250,000 of that has been spent already on engineering with Hazen and Sawyer. That's a rough estimate. I'm sure you guys have the exact.
Yes.
But I would offer that we already have that money. But on top of that, we can continue to be reimbursed by Guilford County for any invoice that we get up until, of course, the $3.1-ish million is given. And, from my meeting with Guilford County, it's been a year and a half. We would expect reimbursement within 30 days of that.
We don't have a total back. The plan is not finished for the 65 Coldwater extension, correct? So obviously hadn't been let out for bid or anything, so we don't know what that total is gonna be.
We don't. We do know that.
I gotta tell you, I tend to like the mayor's plan a little better to stagger these.
Kim, can you do an early withdrawal if you have to, and if so, what's the penalty?
I don't think there would be a penalty. You would take.
You'd lose the interest most likely.
For the period that you have the CDR for. So it doesn't earn, 3.5 every, that's why they're set at terms. Because they're set, more or less on that, like the 3.5, at 24 months, it's gonna be, if you take it out a year early, then you're gonna get it for that 12 months versus the full 3.5.
But you don't lose anything.
No.
So it won't matter whether if the cash is there and we had to take it out, we take it out. We wouldn't get a penalty on any of the cash. So
No.
it'd be just fine to do that if we had to, and instead of it just sitting there, correct?
Yes,
You're certain we could get 100% of the principal?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
We're not gonna lose
So
any.
there's no drawback to doing it.
Well,
It's just the money doesn't work for us for however long.
Private citizens tend to get penalized when they draw money out of their retirement accounts and what have you, so that's.
Not on this one, not on a CD.
Retirement account.
Now, I would also offer those projects you're mentioning, Tim, again, when we get an invoice from a contractor, an engineering provider, or anybody else, those are eligible for reimbursement with Guilford County, and we could expect that reimbursement quickly, I would say in 30 days, so.
Yeah, I got that part, but did you hear me about the rock clause?
Certainly,
Okay.
certainly, but that's not enough to motivate me to keep the money in an account that's earning 0.05%.
I wasn't suggesting that, sir. I was just suggesting that we needed to make sure that we had contingency funds available in the event that that contract led us down the road to a issue with rock or something of that nature.
Okay.
Bless you.
Thank you.
We would still have 700,000 in, in the operating account.
But you still could get it out, it don't matter. If it's sitting there, we're either gonna let it sit there and get nothing, or we'll take a chance on getting something.
On the other end of this, the statute requires us to obtain the highest possible yield on idle funds. I've been down that path before in this building. So we already have been remiss in not doing it already.
Why don't you take part of that 750 and put it in the lower, which is the lower, tell me again, the lower interest rate for 12 months. What is the 12-month rate?
3.75.
Of what 750, Mr. Mayor?
You said you've got 750 left.
Well, I mean, we've got to keep cash in the operating account.
I understand that.
Exactly.
I understand it, but you have to keep 750 in it. 750 is a lot of money. You keep 500,000 in the operating account, take 250 and put it in the 3.75.
Well, that's
It's also an option.
That's also an option. That's up to you guys.
You could raise the.
And I mean, to Mr. Foy's point, the county's gonna pay or reimburse pretty quickly. So it's the likelihood of us needing either amounts of money are not great. Immediately, that is.
That's true.
Correct. Yeah, they allow us to request a reimbursement, I believe, monthly. And that initial 600,000 was paid almost immediately upon request. Not immediately, but immediately for government.
Correct.
Fairly
Right,
soon thereafter.
right.
So,
Yeah.
And I'd rather lose the interest on $2,500 than I would on $500,000.
Okay.
That's just a suggestion.
wanna raise it?
Well, right now, I've made a motion.
I would ask that you amend the motion to include the 250,000 from the 750,000 in the 12-month CD.
His motion was 24 months.
For 600,000.
That was the first one.
Where's the 750 coming, where were you getting the 750 from?
That's the operating account. That's what's there. That's what's sitting in the account in the money market right now. At 0.5%, did you say?
Is 0.05. 0.05%.
Oh, correct, yeah. What it accrues currently.
So it is at 5%.
Yeah, I believe that
I'm sorry.
A 20th of a percent.
Yeah, that's not even, yeah.
Yeah. I believe that the current balance may be.
6 of that, leaving 750.
left, not.
They're gonna take 6 of that, put it
Yeah,
away for 2 months, or
it'll
2
be 7.
years.
So we've got a motion for 600,000 for 2 years. And, do we have a second?
I seconded it, sir.
Yes, we have a second.
Okay.
You're not interested in my amendment? Okay,
Take another.
okay. Any further discussion? Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landrith? Aye. Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And I am also aye. I'd like to make that same motion that we take the 250 out of the $700,000 and put it in the 12.
200.
It's 2,
Why can't we take the two? You said 750?
700.
Oh,
not
excuse
750.
me. I'd like to leave 500 in the operating account. Yes, okay. If that's the case, then take the 200,000. That's the motion. I'd like to take 200,000 out of the operating account and put it in the 12-month CD.
For the 3.75%.
That's my motion. Do we have a second?
For the 6-month CD,
No, 12-month.
12 months.
excuse me, the 12-month cedars. I'll second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, Kim, what do you think about that? You're the budget officer. Is there a reason to do it, reason not to do it? Of course, a reason to do it.
I mean, of course, we can get it out if we need it.
Right, that's right.
However, we are doing a lot of projects, and I always keep in my mind, if we ever need anything for an emergency or a repair, that's what concerns me, and I feel more comfortable with 700 versus 500.
But there again, we can still get this out
We can.
without penalty.
We can, but I can't just go and pull it out like that, whereas right with now, with the,
How quick can you pull it out?
I would have to request to have it pulled out. I couldn't do it immediately. I would say within a couple of days, I would assume.
Yeah, you
Wouldn't
just
have
close the
anything
CD.
come up. We couldn't have anything possible we'd have to pay in 2 days, would we? I mean, emergency repair, I mean, we'd pay bills in 30 days and things like that, so I'm just trying to balance both things here.
Understand.
If it helps, the biggest repair I can recall the town ever doing was that $80,000 deal
I
down
mean, in
on
that case,
158.
we could put it all in there and get interest. I'm not saying to do that now, but I'm saying with that being the case, Mr. Foley, I want to hear what you got to say about this, because I'm trying to balance out what we're doing.
How much is left on the Hazen and Sawyer engineering?
The engineering, that comes out of
Coming out of Guilford County,
137?
137.
137.7, let's say 138.
And we're getting ready to probably approve a project tonight that's 180,000. I mean, I think it's extremely low risk.
Low risk or high risk?
No, I think it's low risk doing this. Yeah, I mean,
If all we're gonna lose is our interest,
Yeah, that's what we're
for
gonna
early
do. Yeah.
withdrawal.
Do you do
then-
these on single, I mean, okay, like the 600, you're doing that on one? Could you do that on two or three 200s? Or two 300s, to where if you had to take some, you wouldn't lose the interest on the whole thing? Or
I
can you
can-
just take some out?
I can ask Tammy. I'll go over.
Yeah, you
those.
could take, I mean, what you want is two $300 24-month CDs. That makes
What I'm
sense.
saying, if they're CDs, if you cash them, do you have to cash the whole thing, or can you cash partial?
No, you'll cash the whole thing.
Yes.
Okay, well then.
Comes ready for renewal.
Then it looks
Yeah,
like you'd want to do.
that makes sense.
It looks like you'd want to do, if possible, 3 200s or 2 300s or 6 100s, to where they were all separate. If we only needed 100,000, we wouldn't have to cash the
Makes
whole
sense.
thing and lose all our interest.
That doesn't change our approval. That would be in keeping with what we approved at
We can
600,000.
reapprove something.
No, but I'm just saying, there's no reason to have to do it. Just all she's given is instructions to do it in $100,000 increments versus, let me ask
I see
you,
what you're saying.
let me ask you, Kim, is there a minimum for this 3.75?
No.
I'm sure there is. I couldn't put 5,000 in there and get it. I bet it's got to be 100,000 or better.
I wasn't told there was a minimum, and we actually have less than 100,000 in several CDs. CDRs.
And they're drawing 3.75?
no, they're drawing more.
Oh, because they're older. Okay, I understand.
But we can do it like that, right? Instead of just doing one, because we'd lose all our interest if we cashed the one in if we did it.
Yes.
We'd only, whatever we had to, I doubt we'll
So
have to.
so on the 600,000, you want me to request to do 100,000 each?
I
Six
think that would be,
100s?
That's correct.
A motion we'd have to revisit that motion and undo
I think
that.
we have to.
change.
We've already approved 600,000. It's just a matter of mechanics
the
as to
increment.
Make it
how
matters.
she invests it.
I mean, I don't even know.
She's going to invest it
if
in
you-
the same
I
thing.
don't know
That
why
was
we'd have
part
to
of our
motion.
vote. It was for 24 months.
That's what she's going to do.
I'm gonna do
100,000 each.
600,000 for 24 months. I'm just gonna
We're just doing it a little more cautiously, in case we need to pull it out.
100,000.
Instead of doing the $600,000 one, we're gonna do 6 100,000.
6 100K.
And if we had to,
At 24.
We
That's what they
okay
want me to do.
finagling here a little bit.
My
different.
recollection of the motion was an amount and a term and an interest rate. I don't think it said denominations of these CDs. So I think she has flexibility to choose whatever denominations of CDs she wants to.
See, I could have gone to law school. I could be saving us all kinds of money tonight.
Do you look as good in a suit? though?
No, nowhere near.
do you
Just
have a suit?
nowhere near.
I got one you can rent.
And then oh, they haven't passed that one yet. Sorry. The next one hadn't been passed yet. So I'll wait till that's passed.
Okay, we do have a motion and we have a second, if I'm correct, on the 250,000, or on the 200,000, rather.
That's correct.
I did second your motion, sir.
I believe we have a motion and a
We're
second.
gonna do that in increments, we just do, I mean, break that one down too, so if you just need $100,000, you don't lose all your interest.
As long as we can do that at that interest rate. Makes sense. I'm not going to put that in the motion. Our instructions to you are, if you would, investigate that. Let's leave the motion as it is.
Break them down to where we don't lose so much interest if we have to pull it down. I hope we don't.
Is there any further discussion? Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Ms. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landrith?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And I am also aye. Consideration of spending authority for the 2024 Stokesdale Christmas Parade schedule for Saturday, December 14th, 2024 at 2 p.m. Mr. Foy?
It is hard to believe it's almost here.
It is.
It's like very similar, exactly like we've done the last, I don't know, few years. I'm asking for council for the $4,500 spending authority that's in our budget to oversee the operational side of the Christmas parade, such as hiring deputies, getting porta-johns, advertising, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some things, but I think it's gone pretty well the last few years, and with all the credit to Mr. T. Stevenson, the last few years, we've also gotten more in sponsorship funds than it costs to put this on. So,
Y'all do a great job. Is that a motion? If it is, I'll
I don't
second.
want to make a motion for myself. I guess I'm asking for one.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to give the Christmas Parade Committee $4,500 spending authority.
I'll second that motion.
Let's,
Oh,
if I may.
Yes,
Back up
we're
on
open for
something.
discussion.
Last year, we gave our two council members on that committee, Jimmy Landorf and Derek Foy, the authority to spend those funds as long as they were in agreement. Otherwise, it came back to this board. And that's what I favor, instead of giving, with all due respect to the committee members, unelected individuals, spending authority of public funds. And
So,
I hope
so,
you see
so
the
let's do
difference.
that. There's not even a Christmas parade committee, so, let's do Jimmy and I, or Tim and I, or one of you two. But we're just gonna need to do something.
That's what we did last year. Didn't have a
I
problem.
like
right?
it. It worked out last year. It's worked out the 3 years before, whatever motion was made then, but let's do that. Jimmy and
Okay.
I.
Well, then I have to, if it's gonna be me and you, then I have to remove myself from the motion.
I'd like to make a motion that the council approve the $4,500 for the Christmas parade, and that Mr. Foy and Mr. Landrith oversee the dispensing of those funds for that project.
Yeah, I'll second that if you'll allow an amendment. And so long as they both agree, they can expend the funds. Otherwise, a vote would come up,
Is that the amendment?
Yes, sir.
I accept that amendment.
and then I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Mr. Landrith?
Aye.
Damn.
You're out of order here.
Didn't I? Mr. Rigsby? Aye. Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And I am aye. I'm going to get the hang of this, I swear I am. Consideration of construction contract for Ellisboro Road Waterline Extension Project. Mr. Foy?
Last month, we voted to award the contract for the Ellisboro Road Waterline Extension to Yates Construction. And I believe the motion was that Mr. Winfrey would work with the engineering firm and the contractor Yates on a contract. There is a contract in place. All of council has seen it. Therefore, I'll make a motion well, actually, I'm going to ask a question first. Chuck, are we good?
We are, I've got a few points to add to it. It was a pretty voluminous contract, and so I wanted just to go over a few points with you, so you understand some of the issues with the contract. So as a standard construction contract, it incorporates standard conditions, which was 70 pages of this 170-page document was what's called standard conditions, which are kind of boilerplate language. It keeps it out of the contract itself, and but a few things I want to talk about that. The contract calls for completion within 365 days. However, that time period doesn't start running for 30 days after you approve the contract tonight. So if you approve it tonight, then 13 months from now is when the construction project is to be finished. So it's, I don't want you to think it should be finished in 365 days, it's 365 plus 30. Okay, so, we've been talking about cash flow issues tonight. Progress payments are made, the engineer will submit, will review requests, and those will be due on the 15th, or will submitted 15th of each month. The town will be paying 95% of the pay request, and 5% will be retained, what's called a retainage, which will be paid until the end, and everybody, and the engineers in particular, are convinced that everything has been done according to the contract. The big problem in these contracts is the C word, change orders. If there's any change orders, that is where I've seen more fights and troubles and litigation over change orders than anything else in the contract. So we don't anticipate any, but I want to just give you a heads up that the contract does provide for that, but unless we request one or agree to one, that's not an issue for us. And finally, when they do submit a bill and when the engineer is satisfied that it's been paid, that it's been earned, the payments will be due within 30 days of when that was submitted. So just know that's the timeline for the payments.
Mr. Winfrey, McKinley Engineering will be performing the inspections, correct?
That's right. It's my understanding they're gonna be doing.
And that's included in the contract we already have with them, so there won't be an additional cost for them performing that service.
I believe that's correct. I'm not 100% certain about that, but I believe that's correct.
So, in other words, we're set. We don't have to hire, go back and pay them an additional.
Yeah, Mr. Kennelly has been retained to do that, yes.
Did you see anything in there that need to be changed? Or any-
No, well, I made a few tweaks to it, nothing substantive really, so I did make a few minor changes to it, and they were fine with Yates, and so those have been incorporated.
But you're happy with the contract and you feel like the town's protected?
Yes, I do.
Does it have the usual language in there about acts of God and circumstances beyond our control,
Force majeure type issues, yes.
Yeah, the unavailability of materials, unavailable fuel, that sort of thing.
That's correct. Acts of God, riot, war, et cetera.
Is there any further discussion?
Do we have a motion yet?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to authorize Mayor Crawford to sign and execute that contract with Yates Construction for the Ellisboro Road water line extension.
Do we have a second?
I feel like we should state the amount, Mr. Foy, if you got it available.
It's, what's that exact?
I think it's $194,666, but I'm speaking off the cuff, so I can't.
660.
660, okay, 190.
94, 660.
194,660.
Okay.
Full contract with Yates.
And Robbie, if you could work that into my motion.
You got it.
Yep.
And just to add that you want to, so Yates Construction, they've also designated a representative, and so that's something the town may wish to do as well.
Then I'll have a motion after this either passes or doesn't.
Understood.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landreth?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And I am also aye. Consideration of cost proposals for athletic field lighting I'm sorry.
1 second.
Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted to make
Mike.
another. Okay.
We do need a representative from the town I guess, Robbie, what would the representative do?
So the representative would just be the point of contact. If Yates had any issues, something that they didn't feel that the engineer could answer, something more on a town basis, it's just somebody to reach out to. For instance, Yates has selected Gene Robertson because of his relationship with the town and just his ability to come up here and speak with us about anything.
Would it be proper to have I think you would be a good representative.
Fine with
I'm
me,
gonna
I'd be
make that
glad to.
motion. I'll make the town administrator / town clerk, Robbie Wagner, be the administrator, or excuse me, administer, of this contract.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Mr. Rigsby.
Aye.
Mr. Foy.
Aye.
Mr. Landrith.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
And I am aye. Consideration of cost proposals for athletic field lighting project at Stokesdale Town Park. Mr. Foy.
Thank you. All right, so I think we're at a point tonight where we can hopefully make a vote and move forward. We started this RFP project back in the spring, requesting proposals to add lighting at the town park, so the youth can utilize that park for during the evening hours for their practices and/or games. And not only the youth, any citizen that wishes to pay for the rental fee or organization. If y'all know, we struggled to get proposals back from the vendors at first. We reported that, I think, numerous times in these meetings throughout the summer. Fortunately, by Labor Day, we had received 5 different proposals from prospective bidders. I'm grateful for that. In addition to that, one contractor did submit a proposal just to install the poles, but they chose not to do the lighting. All contractors were bid out to the specs prepared by Mr. Chad Lackey, a professional engineer with Greensboro Engineering. I'd like to thank the 5 companies that submitted the bids for the lighting project. Brad's Electric, Sammy Phillips Electric, MV Electric, Ronaldo Electric, Diversified Electrical Technologies, or DET. Just to go over the bid range, the different bid range from the prospective bidders, they range from, these all include the poles. These range from $302,471 to $429,943. So I think that we got a wide variety of bids from all local contractors. Ronaldo Electric came in with the lowest bid. With that, requested a meeting with the owner of the company, Mr. Ron Overby at Town Hall. Ronaldo Electric's based out of Rural Hall. They have 20 employees, and they're very well versed in doing projects of this size and even bigger. So we had the meeting at Town Hall. It's been, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. In that meeting, I inquired, in part of Ronaldo Electric's proposal, I inquired why $15,000 was included for them to come out for the next 3 subsequent years to re-aim the lights back on the field. And Robbie, could you explain the reason why he would need to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mr. Overby explained that if we went on as planned with wooden poles, those wooden poles would have environmental factors that affect those poles, and the mix between the sunlight hitting those green poles and causing the wood to twist, and then also the addition of, I guess, roughly 1,000 pounds worth of hardware and lights at the top of those poles would cause those poles to tilt. And over time and through the environmental factors, you would have to readjust those lights to be back to where they're supposed to be to light up every portion of the field.
Good. Thank you, Robbie. By extension of that, he strongly recommended that we use steel poles. So during that meeting, we expressed concerns of maintenance and repair really over the next decade or so that we would see after the initial cash outlay. He countered that there were other potential solutions to that that offered 10 and 25-year warranties. And I said, well, why weren't those provided? And he said, we didn't ask. We just bid to our specs. I said, fair enough. I'd be interested in seeing those other solutions. So he was going to get us that price. I invited him during that meeting 3 weeks ago. I invited him to the meeting tonight. However, he could not attend tonight. So we had a special called meeting last week where all of council was able to meet Mr. Overby and Ronaldo Electric, ask any questions. Mr. Overby presented the different options that we have. And in my opinion, I think that there was one option that stood out. That's not an option that he initially proposed to us, but it was a full system installation versus stick built, and that came with a 25-year warranty. and manufactured by a highly regarded company out of Louisiana. The cost for this system was $410,662, so obviously higher than the initial proposal, but it included steel poles, and most importantly, it has this 25-year warranty that comes with it. In addition to that, Duke Energy would need to run a 480-volt meter back instead of the 240 we have now. Now, that will come at a cost to the town. We do not have that cost yet. Duke Energy, they're a little preoccupied right now, but we're working on getting that. I would imagine that would be in the neighborhood of $15,000 to $20,000, but I do not have that number. But I think that's a realistic ballpark figure. Let's see. Mr. Overby said that having a 480 meter back there really will pay for itself with the different wiring and the flexibility that he would have. So it'll pay for itself in materials and wiring and also installation cost. And it's just a better solution to a project this large. Let's see. I have, thank you to Priscilla for contacting references that have worked with Renata Electric in the past. She contacted North Surrey High School. All the contacts, recommendations were very, very good. She contacted North Surrey High School, spoke with Doug Dixon, the Director of Maintenance and Facilities. They did rewiring to the field. They were definitely satisfied with the work, and when asked the question, would they rehire? He said yes, they just rehired to do additional work for Surrey County Schools, and they did an excellent job. Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools, Priscilla spoke with Tim King, an electrical supervisor. He works with Mr. King in the schools to maintain all the Forsyth County sport fields. Very satisfied with the work. Would you rehire? Yes, they maintain all the fields. Quick response when they call with any issues. Excellent work. Then we have Stokes County Schools, spoke to Richie Roberts, Director of Maintenance. Facilities, type of work, maintain all of their school fields. Very satisfied with their work. Would they rehire? Yes, communication is great. Trust their work completely. So with that, I'll start it out with a motion, and certainly we can have further discussion, but I make a motion to accept the proposal from Renata Electric Company of Rural Hall, North Carolina, in a document titled Stokesdale Soccer Fields, dated 9/25/24, to install lighting at the soccer fields at Stokesdale Town Park for the GeoSports all-inclusive system in the amount of $410,662. This money should come from the ARPA funds currently in our general fund budget. The motion includes town attorney drafting a contract of the scope of work that includes a full copy of the 25-year full system warranty as an addendum to the contract. Furthermore, I authorize Mayor Crawford to sign and execute the contract on behalf of the town of Stokesdale.
I'll second the motion, open up for discussion.
That was 410,662.
Yes, sir.
Do we have some
And
discussion? Go ahead.
So one question, I know he was going to provide us with some references for that type of lighting, and I don't believe we've received those. I remember discussing the Musco lightings, which is what a lot of the Guilford County schools use, which I'm more familiar with, which is the mirror-based lighting systems. And so I was kind of interested in seeing the other option in person before making this vote. Do you have any info on where we can see that at, or?
Robbie, do you have that?
I'm looking for that. Trying to think. Let's see. I know that he reached out to his representative at GeoSport. T, do you remember? I know that he, not right after the meeting that we had last week, Mr. Overby reached out to his representative at GeoSport and asked for those locations. But I don't believe that the representative shared those. Whereas if he has, he may have sent them to Mr. Overby, who's probably unable to send those to me right now.
Jim, didn't you say that the Northwest Guilford uses this lighting system on their field?
They use the Musco lighting system.
Musco.
That-
I'm sorry.
That's, and that is more expensive, roughly $45,000 more.
And I think there was not as good a warranty, am I correct?
No, the warranty
good warranty.
was the exact same.
Oh, okay.
You know,
That's the top of the line when you
Yeah.
got somewhere like North Carolina State playing football. I mean, we're trying to light a soccer field for kids.
Yeah. Think of Musco, they're probably the Lexus. And, Geosports.
A Toyota.
A Toyota Camry. I'm good with a Camry.
Okay.
I haven't seen a projection as to how much it's gonna cost to operate this. Has one been provided?
$11 an hour,
$11 an hour.
should they all be fully lit. In other words, if all fields are being utilized.
And
We can light them partially if only one field is being utilized.
We'll also be able to control this from a cell phone.
Correct. And that's included in that price as well. If that was a standalone add-on, that would be another $10,000, I believe, Robbie?
Correct. Right. A little over.
Yeah.
And how are you gonna get the three-phase from wherever it's at to the park?
That's,
It's going underground?
Here or up here, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
Where's the closest three-phase?
We don't know if it's up here or
Yeah.
it's gonna be right here, we're not
It's
sure.
tends
The
one of two
people that we
places.
needed
There's
to talk to
a
is
box up there,
in the mountains.
kind of between my house and here. You asked where, and I'm pointing where.
Three-phase doesn't exist just anywhere, just because.
don't know.
If you remember, Derek, we didn't know. They didn't know.
Yeah. Well, Robbie, didn't they say there's two places?
Yeah,
They
he
said
did.
something about this one right up here.
That's correct, yeah. So Mike Eanes, engineer with Duke Energies, who I've been speaking with on this project, he did say that it was certainly possible to upgrade it. Right now, we have 240 volts of one phase, and he wants to upgrade that to 480 volts of three phase with underground installation, and then the inclusion of a new pad-mounted transformer down at the park.
Yeah.
The cost of the transformer, it's my understanding from Duke Energy, the transformer is no additional cost. What they make off of energy sales is the reason for the no additional cost for the transformer. And actually in Mr. Overby's quote, he's included the only thing that we're responsible for, that being the inclusion of a concrete pad. So Mr. Overby would be willing to put that pad down for us. What I'm waiting on is a cost proposal from Mr. Eanes for the installation of that new hardware. I'm assuming either from 158 or Angel Pardue Road into the park. And I would have that in front of me had it not been for the hurricane that hit in Florida.
So, yeah, I don't have that figure tonight.
Three-phase is just not automatically available just because you see power poles is the point I would make.
Buddy, I trust you. I don't know.
And so when you say 10 or 20,000 for this, that's why I was asking where they gotta bring it from. And is it going underground?
Yes.
And so it's a little,
It
it's
is.
a little scary not having some kind of number here for that, cause it could be a pretty big ticket item.
Mr. Eanes provided a rough estimate of 10,000 plus. That's what he said. And so that was whenever I reached out to him on the telephone and asked him what would the cost be for underground.
And he's with,
Duke Energy. He's the engineer for Duke Energy that would oversee the project. He's the same engineer that removed the power lines out here in the woods on the land that you purchased.
gotcha.
Your point's well taken.
Well, at what point would we stop? If Duke Energy said it was 50,000, or they said it was gonna be 100,000, I mean, where's that threshold at? Should there be a cap attached to this
Well,
contract approval?
yeah, and I hear you, and that would require a different motion. I put a lot of stock into, the 10,000 initial figure that the engineer from Duke Energy said. I also made some calls to private businesses in town that have experience working with Mr. Eanes himself, and
Mr. Logan, do you happen to know if the school's got three-phase power run to it up here? Just thought I'd ask.
There we go.
I know it's on the other end of town.
Yeah, I mean,
Will say as a rule, most schools do have multiple power lines coming into it. But I don't know if that's the case with Stokesdale being smaller elementary schools. I mean, the high schools will.
Is there any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. Mr. Riggs,
I don't know if we had a second.
Mr. Rigsby did you not?
I did.
Mr. Foy, I can tell that you're excited about this. Committee's put a lot of work into it. You put a lot of work into it. It's a lot of moving parts. Is there a way to delay this until we get a number from Duke Energy some way, somehow?
The proposal will have expired by that point. Well,
Let me ask you a question. We have to spend a certain amount of money for lights.
175,000.
So, well, I'm just saying, we have to spend a certain amount for lights. So the question was, where will we stop as far as getting the power down there? So we're gonna have to do some lights or either get the money back.
Correct.
So what would that number be? Or would we stop if it was $30,000-$40,000? Because of, I don't think it will be, from everything I understood.
Brett?
I haven't been involved with a three-phase install anywhere lately that I can pull a number from anywhere, but I know over these many years, it's always been a big deal for a sawmill operator to get three-phase to their sawmill, or a farmer to get three-phase to his farm. For a lot of business owners to be able to get three-phase to their place of business, and that's where my reservation's coming from. It could be right up here at the school, I don't know. As far as spending the money, the single-phase system is an option. I'm not suggesting we not do it, I'm just suggesting that we nail down this number before we get so deep in we can't stop.
The pre-existing single phase that's already down there.
Yeah.
So Mr. Overby did mention that in his proposal, I think it may be one of the first lines, that proposal is based on 480 volts of three-phase. So if we decide to move forward with a 240 volt single phase, he would have to redo his proposal, and I think the cost would come out much greater.
Oh, I mean, that's what he said.
More expensive.
The three-phase is gonna be more electrically efficient is the reason he's using it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, but he just said we'd save money in
but,
labor costs and materials wiring.
But at $11 an hour, those two don't compute. We're using $11 an hour to power the system, but we have to have three-phase to make it work efficiently.
So,
I'm just asking, Mr. Foy, but do we have a ballpark from Summerfield or Oak Ridge or somebody on this power bill that we kind of don't have a surprise here and find out
They charge $15 an hour to use the lights. So I would assume that the cost to run the lights would be 15 or less. I can't imagine that they're making a killing off of it, but I can also imagine they're not losing money. They charge $15 an hour to run the lights on their fields.
Yeah, so, Mr. Foy, you see what I mean?
yeah, I do, and that $11 figure is certainly not something I just made up. It was calculated by Mr. Overby, when we met back there in that room. Now,
Well,
Mr. Eanes is familiar with this property, obviously.
Correct, yeah. He's familiar with it. My understanding, he's done a lot of work in Stokesdale and knew exactly where these power lines were, and I believe he knew the property that was there before the power lines were asked to be removed, so I think he's familiar with the town.
And he threw out $10,000. Now, obviously, it could be more than that, but that's the number that jumped in his mind.
Correct, yeah.
And-
After looking at it he said he came out here, did a visit, and then also looked at it from a bird's eye view. And that was the number that he gave me on the telephone, was 10,000 plus.
And the number I shared with you tonight was 15 to 20, because I wanted to take that and, make it higher in case that it was.
Well, I appreciate that. I think that's the correct thing to do. It just, you know, the whole park didn't cost the town but $500,000 when it was put in.
Well,
That's before we printed a whole bunch of money.
Inflation.
that's right.
My concern in delay, I think we've got to do it either way. My concern with delaying is it may cost us in a new contract. I think, like I said, we've got $170-some thousand we've got to spend on lighting. So at some point, we may just have to trust them.
The 410,662 plus the $20,000 allowance for the Duke Energy 3-phase, is all that gonna be covered between the grant funds from the state and the ARPA funds, Ms. Thacker?
Yes, that is, yes.
That's why we've put some of these other projects on hold to put before council, so we make sure we get these lights done, since we have to spend the 175, so.
Yeah, it's not easy for me to contemplate spending money like this out of the budget, and even, you know, beyond that, we're still spending tax money that was taken away from somebody else.
That's correct.
So this is not an easy thing for me to contemplate.
We have, with the North Carolina General Assembly state grant, which was the $175,000, still out of the federal ARPA funds left. We still have $291,580. Total is $466,580 that we have got to spend.
456.
No, 466. To be exact, 579.72.
Yeah, it seems like everything we've done, it ends up costing more. I guess because we're government, it just costs so much. I mean, this is a lot of money. I know, I have a hard time sitting in those meetings, those park committee meetings. I mean, I just shake my head at what it costs, but I mean, we looked at everything. These guys, they got all the figures, and I mean, we actually had a hard time getting bids. And I would have never thought it. When we first started looking at it, we thought $175,000, and here we are at 400-some thousand. But it's not going to get any cheaper, and they're going to print some more money, and it's going to be 50% higher next year, probably. And I mean, I hate to say that, but I mean, it's just the way it is. If we're going.
Right, Jimmy. A thing that really appealed to me about this option was the 25-year full system warranty. That protects the town when we don't have grant money to spend, in my opinion.
Is that warranty secured by the manufacturer or the installer? The manufacturer.
I made a point to, that warranty is a big part of my motion. So that Chuck needs to see that, and, you know, if there's red flags, it needs to be raised, so.
And I do remember the gentleman from Renota Electric speaking that it was not a specific warranty to him, it was to the manufacturer.
Correct.
And that he may or may not be the person that the manufacturer would send out. How, you know, it's just to clarify your point a little bit, that it is a manufactured warranty.
And we're not talking about light bulbs here, Robbie. What was he saying the system warranty covered?
Everything from the grass to the sky. It covers the base that the pole is set in, the pole itself, the arms that extend off the pole, the light bulbs, all the wiring.
Anybody know how we stand so far as lightning hits on this? How susceptible it is, surge protection, cost of repair, any of that?
That's a good question for Mr. Overby.
Yeah, I do not know, Tim. It's
Yeah.
a valid question.
If it goes out, it's supposed to be covered.
I would assume there'd be some insurance. I mean, I assume the town has insurance. I don't know that'd be the case, but it would cover no insurance.
But that 25 years was a big deal for me. I mean, because the projects that we've done, we've tried to do it with the lowest possible maintenance every year, because we realize we're a tax-free town. We don't do a property tax. We have a limited budget, and we're not trying to add to things that is gonna possibly cause a property tax. And so, 25 years, they can figure out how to get some more light bulbs. But then I probably won't be around to worry about it. We want to go out way out instead of just next year start having to put expenses in on the budget for it.
And these are LED lights, which he, of course, reminded us have a long life.
Oh, yeah.
They do.
They at least got a 25-year life.
That's right.
Yeah, and
Now, they won't come out, you have to have 10% of your light bulbs out before they change any. Now, they don't come out and change one light bulb. It's 10%, remember that when they do.
I heard him say that about Musco for sure.
No, he said it about this one too, I'm pretty sure. Because we talked about it
Yeah.
pretty much,
How many light bulbs? 7?
I think it's 76. I believe Geosport's 76. And
So
Musco,
8 bulbs will take care of it.
correct, yeah.
Geosport, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph talks about labor shall be covered when 10% of the total fixtures are not working properly.
Okay.
There you go, Jim. So, I mean,
The irrigation and water, that'll be marked at our expense.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Rock clause included irrigation and water to be marked. Is that at our expense or theirs?
I mean, every contractor I know, the rock clause is would be at our expense.
Yeah, I know, but
Others' expense.
we got an irrigation system in the field, both of those fields.
Absolutely, yeah, which would need to be marked.
Yeah, I don't, how we gonna do that? Well, it's not that expensive if they dig something up, hopefully, but, just remind everybody, we do have those fiber optic lines that run down there for the, camera system. And I'm not sure where they're at, but
That would be
maybe
his
y'all-
responsibility to mark them.
Uh,
To identify. that they're
Usually
marked.
it's probably on the owner, but I can't tell what this means.
Mr. Overby would request an 811 locate, and then the providers of those services would locate that.
Hey, this is private
Well,
infrastructure we're
correct, yeah.
speaking about.
That line runs from this building to the concession stand. I don't know that it crosses the football field, soccer field.
And also
Okay.
going back to the warranty on paragraph 6 does exclude lightning. Hurricanes, lightning, typhoons, tornadoes, flood, earthquake,
Sure, and that's
so. Animal damage.
damage in a storm, my understanding is covered through insurance. Now, if we don't have insurance, we're just fools.
Well, I'm gonna verify. We're thinking, Robbie and I are thinking that because we know that the pickleball court was grandfathered in before I had to renew it this last time. And we're thinking this may too, but I have a note right here, I'm gonna verify that. If not,
Right.
I'll just add special lighting. So,
Right.
to the insurance policy. But I'll verify that just to make sure.
Well, at the risk of burdening the town council more than they want to be burdened, I'm a little uneasy with the idea of you not looking at a contract, approving a contract before it's executed. I guess I'm old school in that way. So my suggestion would be, if we have a deadline, let me work on a contract with the vendor, and then if it's in a form that everybody can agree on, perhaps have a special meeting just for the purpose of adopting it.
How about if I just don't sign it until I get your approval?
Well, my feeling is I think the town council needs to,
With this amount of money, Mr. Winfrey, I think I have to agree with you. You know, some of us are more enthusiastic than others, but.
Yeah, I mean, look,
But I think we need to remember we are spending a big chunk of money and we need to get,
Yeah. Now,
cross our
we-
Ts and dot our Is.
we've waited a year, there's no problem waiting another month, and we can have another special called meeting, we had one last week. We'll do it.
that's my only concern, because I'm a little bit uneasy with you approving a contract that's not in front of you.
Okay, so, in my motion was and we'll kick it down the road a month.
Okay.
Fine. But in my motion, include the town attorney drafting a contract of the scope of work that includes a full copy, and then that the mayor would sign. So, is your part that the authorization only goes to the mayor? Is your concern
That's right,
there?
yeah, my concern is that I think the town council needs to see the contract before the mayor signs it. Would be my preference. I don't want anyone to say, well, this is, let the vendor off the hook because it wasn't a valid contract, because the town council didn't approve it. So my suggestion would be either have a special meeting, of course, we have to do that before the Board of Elections takes over this room, or I guess we can meet somewhere else, or do it in the November meeting.
Well, I'm gonna be relying on my attorney here to, you know.
Well, I understand.
Make sure we're not in the weeds.
Well, that's right, but the question is, just like tonight with the Ellsworth Road deal, the contract was in front of you, you had a chance to review it, ask questions about it before it was approved. And I feel like that, I would feel safer if we did the same thing with this project.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Winfrey. Now, my next question, kind of a silly question related to this, but if we can't use our meeting space here, would we be allowed to have a public meeting outside in the conference room, down the hallway,
Yeah, you
on
can-
the sidewalk over there?
You can have it,
You can have it anywhere as long as
the
it's
lobby.
publicly advertised.
you can have it in the lobby, you can have it, at the school, if it gives us permission to.
We can have it down there on the picnic table at the ballpark if you want to.
Right.
It don't matter.
Yeah,
I-
well, just
I'm more-
curious.
I'm more keen on getting the final figure from Duke Energy than I am,
Understood.
this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm hopeful to get that as soon as possible. Like I said, Mr. Eanes has been very gracious and communicated with me, and I feel as soon as he gets back in his office from assisting with this hurricane relief, I think he'll work on it.
I just don't feel that we have the expertise really you have the expertise with the contract.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's all I'm gonna rely on.
yeah, I am
I'm gonna
too.
say, Mr. Winfrey,
I mean,
if you took care of us
well,
here.
you're asking me to say, oh, Chuck, great work. You know, you put together a great contract. Asking you to do your job, what we pay you for.
That's right.
So,
Okay, so where do we stand with the motion? Are we going to carry it forward?
I guess.
Well, you could go ahead and direct me to prepare a contract. I mean,
I think it's,
That
wouldn't it
was
be
the
proper?
motion.
oh, I thought, I said,
The motion includes town attorney draft a contract of the scope of work. It's fine. We're gonna kick this down the road a month. It's, in the big picture, it's not that big of a deal.
So if I vote for this, I'm not voting, it's not the final vote, I'll be allowed to vote on the contract, Mr. Foy.
Well, my motion authorized Mayor Crawford to sign and execute the contract on behalf of the town of Stokesdale.
So I will withhold that signature until we have another meeting and we all have a chance to approve it.
There it is. Continue to November the.
Unless I can work out something with Mr. Winfrey and we can both go on a big vacation. I don't know what else to do.
We'll use it, Mike and his. Yeah, we're good.
Understood. Yeah, that works for me.
None of us have legal expertise. That's my word.
Right.
That's my piece. You do, and any contract that you are putting forth the time to do, I trust you.
Right.
Implicitly or explicitly, whatever.
right, but I guess my point is I would rather you have that contract in front of you, ask questions about it. If you have any questions, and we can,
Will it be a 176-page contract?
no.
How many people here, and I'll admit, I didn't read
I
that
asked that last
176.
one because the last one was 176
That
pages.
176 page, I went through it, but I didn't read the 176
I didn't know
pages.
that.
I don't get paid $200 an hour to do it. 30, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The majority of that was the standard conditions. That's a huge
Cut
chunk
and
of it.
paste going on there.
Okay, we've got a motion and we've got a second.
Would the town clerk repeat the motion for me?
Yes.
We're going to continue this where everybody's most comfortable. This is the most expensive project that's been done on the park since it was built. I'll wait a month. This was very predictable.
So we're not going to vote on it, is what you're saying?
That's exactly right.
Okay, so everything is still on hold for this particular item.
One question, before you do that. The deadline, what was the deadline with us doing that, without him having to refigure the contract?
September 25th and 30 days from September 25th. I think.
30 days from September the 25th.
So you got October the 25th, is that it?
That's correct.
24th, yes.
Yeah, that's right. October the 24th is
Let's
when
get
his-
these answers this week. Gotta have them quickly.
Then then find us a place to meet.
That's right. Well,
The
here's.
20, oh, that's right.
Yeah, the two issues that I'm seeing, just logistically speaking, I'm putting the fire under the feet of Duke Energy, so to speak, to get an answer. As soon as I can get them to give me a proposal, I will give it to everyone. I follow up with them regularly and try to get it. But then, like you say, you do run into that issue of effective October 17th, we ultimately lose this meeting space.
Yeah. We'll have it November 14th though,
Correct.
but we'll need a new.
You'll need a new contract from Mr. Overby, and I can't guarantee it'll be the same price. If it's based off of costs that the manufacturer's giving them, it'll likely go up.
The
Let's
space,
do it again next month. I'm sorry.
the space where the town council used to meet, is that space available in town?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'd vote on it right now, myself. I mean,
Fire department, we could,
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
that's his guy.
request fire department, maybe.
I put a lot of faith in that man sitting right over there. And, you know, I could read it 2 or 3 times and I might find something in it, but I doubt it. But he might. And he's what,
He's the one that's feeling uncomfortable. He's the one that feels uncomfortable.
yeah, we'll do what, it's
Even
Derek's
though I
motion.
don't agree with it, if Chuck is saying it's uncomfortable, that's based off, I'm assuming 30-plus years of legal experience.
Right.
And I have no legal experience, therefore, you know, trusting you. But I would, though I disagree, I will trust your judgment here. People disagree with attorneys all the time, and I'm sure.
Yep, every time there's a court case, there's one sitting
Yeah.
there beside him.
Yep. So,
All right.
But I guess my understand, I'm assuming I should go ahead and start working on the contract.
Yes, draft the contract.
And then if it's done, and then we can discuss whether the council wants to have a special meeting to approve it before,
We would hope to have a special meeting by the end of next week.
or we defer it until
We're going to have to do something else, yes.
November.
What day did you say that was?
should we make a motion to draft a contract for something that's not in place yet?
It'll be October 24th.
As far as our approval,
So you need,
quit adding to it, will you?
you got 2 weeks, 13 days, because we'd need to, if you want to, you know, get that in there. And we can meet right out here in the lobby, if we need to.
Yeah,
Put some chairs out there and.
all right.
Or we can take a chance on it going up $10,000-$20,000, whatever.
All right,
money.
so we're going to get this done in the next 13 days.
Well, I'd like to see it if we're gonna do it.
What are we doing?
We're pushing this out to occur within the next 13 days. If it doesn't,
But what happens in the next 13 days?
we approve it, we approve what Mr. Winfrey has given us as far as the contract.
I will draft a contract and negotiate with the vendor to finalize the contract with the 25-year warranty and everything else that we've talked about tonight, and then submit it.
What could I have done differently to avoid this? In the future, if I've got a project to approve and say, Chuck, I'm putting this project forward to cancel, can you go ahead and start working on this in the event that it passes?
Or,
Because that's a waste of money if it doesn't pass.
right, and I guess if,
I just fundamentally disagree with the way that we're going, and that's fine. You and I can disagree. We're friends. I think the world of you. I'm glad you're here. Unless I'm missing something, and apparently I am. But
What is the pitfall that you're trying to overcome here? That's what I can't figure out.
well, I interpret the law that in your form of government, the council is the one that makes the final decisions on contracts.
I agree with that, unless the motion appoints a council member to do it, and the motion passes.
Well, and then the question of can you all delegate that? So you're essentially delegating that authority to the mayor. And that's,
Can we do that, though?
well,
Is the question.
and I don't want, let's say, for example, we did that, and the mayor signed the contract, and then something happened with the performance of the contract, and we tried to enforce the contract, And the other side says, well, y'all didn't have the entire council approve it, it's not a valid contract, and some judge might buy that argument. And so if we want to make it an enforceable contract, then make it as ironclad as we can, I think that the council should see it. You can see it 2 days ahead of time, and we give notice of a public meeting, and you meet for whatever period of time you feel necessary to authorize the mayor then to sign it.
Can you have it done in a week to where we can have a couple of days to read it?
Yes, I can, as long as I'll be negotiating with the other side, so I can't control their schedule, but I can certainly make myself available to do it.
Right.
All right, cool.
Correct.
That's just a detail.
Well, if I need to go there,
Billable hours. All right,
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna,
well, good. Thank you for allowing me to express my opinion on the matter. It hasn't changed.
not a problem. We're gonna move this to occur within the next 13 days, hopefully. If it does not, it'll be moved into the November meeting.
Robbie, what I'm more interested in than this is that Duke Energy.
Duke
number.
Energy
And
proposal.
I am so respective of what they're doing. It's more important than this, even though this is
understand.
important to me.
I understand.
But it's much more important. But if there's anything we can do to get a more concrete figure,
We'll do it.
that is what I'm interested in.
We'll do
I have
it.
full faith that the contract's gonna.
We'll do it. And if any of the contacts that you have, if they could give me some contacts at Duke, I can reach out to them ASAP. So anybody at Duke.
I found out that all my contacts go to Mike Eanes with a huge recommendation for the work that he does.
Okay.
So
He's in Florida as of today, but I will continue to work with him.
excellent, wonderful. Thank you for everybody's consideration and discussion.
I make a motion for the Stokesdale Town Council to enter into closed session in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143.
We're gonna do public comments before this.
No, we weren't. We were gonna do that after that
We were gonna,
last.
we were gonna do one before,
We
we're gonna do one before.
added a third. I'm
You've
sorry,
got
Jim.
item number 13 here to be moved down below the closed session.
Yeah, but what I'd asked for, Mr. Mayor, was to let us do the citizens' comments before we went into closed session in case anybody wanted to leave, and then have it, have it again, not for a person to do it twice, but if anybody stays and wants to, what we come out with and talk about, if they wanted to talk on that subject afterwards, that way it wouldn't cut them out of that agenda
Okay, so
item.
we're gonna,
If that's okay with you.
Like Mr. Lander, if I understood, we added a third public comment period in the event it
I
was.
misunderstood that. Okay, so we're gonna move this consideration of measures to prevent unauthorized access and theft from town of Stokesdale fire hydrants. We're moving that till after our closed session, followed by public comments and council comments, followed by an additional public comments and our final council comments. Am I correct?
Yeah, if we got any public comments now.
Okay,
Right now.
all right, public comments. Other than criticism of the mayor. No, you can't do that, Maria. Come ahead.
Can we, before we start that, I make a motion that we limit each speaker to 3 minutes, please?
Any objection?
As long as we limit each speaker to 3 minutes and not do
this-
one for
this-
3, one for 2, or, I mean, you know, if they want to speak 3,
From this public comment session
Yeah.
to the end of the
That'd
evening, it's 3 minutes.
normally I wouldn't, but I would say, yes, we'll do that.
Okay, any objection?
But everybody has to be, you can't,
No, I wouldn't expect any less,
yeah,
to be fair, so.
yeah, I'm just saying, we can't let somebody talk 5 minutes and come up and tell somebody else they can't talk but 2.
So I would ask Robbie to time that if he would.
Okay.
Oh, well, look at that, he's way ahead.
Please, Maria, come ahead.
I'll agree with that.
I'd just like to get home before midnight, that's all.
I just want to be fair with everybody. That's all I'm concerned
No,
about.
I agree.
I don't care what they have to say. I do care what they
Can I
have to
say
say.
my name before we start? Okay. Maria Adams, 5999 Morganshire Drive, Summerfield, and I'm going to talk really fast because I got a lot to say. So first of all, I'm not a candidate and I'm not an elected official. And so I'm really not a person that needs to be accused of anything or attacked by somebody that is a candidate or an elected official. I find that to be really unethical. But when you put yourself on the line to be a candidate or an elected official, then the public should be able to say what they want to say about the people that are running for office. And I have never attacked the candidate, but I have reported facts. And these facts are sourced through news outlets like the Rhino Times and the Northwest Observer. And also, one of the facts that I had reported is that Goebel had a secret meeting with the board chair and the board attorney, and that was been reported in these news sources, as well as Bill Goebel himself. I actually had a conversation with Goebel the day after he took the school board seat. And I asked him why he did not go to the Republican Party and explain what was going on. And he said to me that the school board, that the board chair, or that they had told him not to tell anyone. So that means it was a secret. And also, if you look at the Rhino Times, that, excuse me, there's an article there that talked about how it was a secret meeting. So anyway, there's a long process of how to pick a candidate or how to pick a nominee when a seat becomes vacant, and it's not determined by Phil Berger and John Hardister and a nominee. It's determined by an entire executive committee, and that executive committee consists of the chair of the party, all of the vice chairs of the party, the past chair, the GOP attorney, the district chairs, and the precinct chairs. So it's a whole group of people that make these decisions, and that whole group of people decided that Mr. Logan, it was the nominee for the school board seat. So I just wanted to defend what this candidate had to say about me, because I felt like that was really unfair to accuse me of attacking him when I actually was just reporting some facts. And the last thing I want to say about the lawsuit is that Mr. Goebel violated North Carolina open meetings law. And so therefore, he was sued for his participation in that violation. But that's not the first time that the school board has violated open meetings law, and this was before Mr. Logan came on the board. The last time that they violated open meetings law, they denied a black female citizen from entering a school board meeting for 2 months in a row. And so she sued the Guilford County School Board. She won her lawsuit, and that evening, they opened up the meetings to all residents. So that's not uncommon for this Democrat-led board to do these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adams.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see if I can get this right.
Anybody else?
Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment?
All right.
I make a motion for the Stokesdale Town Council to enter into a closed session in accordance with the North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3. The purpose of this closed session is to consult with the attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion? Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Landrith?
Aye.
And Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And I am aye. Last little item on here is consideration of measures to prevent unauthorized access and theft from town of Stokesdale fire hydrants. I believe that goes to Mr. Landrith.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Winfrey.
I'm not sure what you want me to, just, you want me to discuss what's?
Yeah,
what
we're
our
not
recent-
going, we're not gonna talk about, we're gonna talk about the issue we had. I guess we can still do that, we can't?
No, well, don't we need to get that settled before we
Yeah,
discuss it?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna,
Yep.
we'll push this down the road, till next month,
Okay?
if that's okay for everybody.
Yeah,
This part.
yeah,
All
I
right.
believe so.
And then we're gonna settle the, closed session.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
We're
So
open
is
for
everybody
public,
in agreement with that? Push
Yeah.
that number 13 down the road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're open for public comment?
Pretty soon, folks will know that
No, wait a minute.
it's not to
don't-
steal water. It
What?
cost you, not to steal water.
Do we,
I don't think
No,
we have
I-
anything to agree on. I think we're not gonna, we're gonna push this number 13.
That's
We're gonna
right.
push it off till the next,
right, number 13.
yes.
What about, do we have to do a vote on what we,
No, once that case is settled,
Okay.
the fine will become public and folks will know, hopefully be further deterred not to steal water from our fire hydrants.
okay, all right, good enough.
Now we're open for public comments. Any public comments, please? Good or bad, indifferent? Council comments, Mr. Rigsby.
Thank everybody for coming out. Remember, Northwest and Northern play football tomorrow night. Everybody should come watch that. Both teams are rated in the top 20 in the state, so it'll be a great game. Other than that, remember to vote. That's all you can do.
Mr. Foy.
Good meeting tonight. I do appreciate all the comments from the citizens. It was well attended tonight. I think the comments were well received. When we're talking about the traffic around the school, that's a difficult issue. I don't think it'll be resolved quickly, but, again, I am holding some confidence that the DOT and Guilford County Schools are talking, and I look forward to a representative from the Guilford County Schools updating council and the citizens next month at the meeting. I'm glad to see the project moving forward, despite the setback tonight with the lights in the park. I think that's a very worthy project, and we will continue to hopefully move that forward in our next meeting as we learn more information. A very, very wise man that I have a lot of respect for told me that, government's designed to move slow and there's a reason behind that. So there's I guess there's a couple loose ends we need to make sure that are tied, and hopefully we can move forward quickly and have those lights installed as soon as possible. I no longer think that the spring is a realistic option, but hopefully after that, the spring season.
Mr. Landrith.
Yeah, everybody, I think probably everybody's already doing it, but, keep the folks that's affected by these storms in your prayers. I see a lot of things in the news media about, the people claiming conspiracy theories and things like that, and some of them are a little bit off the wall, but there are some things going on. I've got a son that's down in Asheville, and he's been down there for a week, and I'll tell you something, it's bad. It's a lot worse than what they're reporting, I think, in the news media. So it's one of these deals. A lot of people's lost their lives and their homes and everything. And our problems here in Stokesdale are small in comparison to what those folks have and what they're going to suffer through for years. And it's almost beyond imagination. I will say, I've on Highway 68, it's getting a little crowded again, and it used to be you couldn't get out of your driveway. And I thought that was really bad, but this intersection up here is terrible, and I don't blame those ladies for coming in and being upset. I noticed that they seemed to be upset with the principal at the school, and I'll tell you, if she could snap her finger and do something about this, she would do it, I promise you. It's a thorn in her side, and I know she feels kind of like us. We hear it and we want to do something, but the only thing we don't have we don't have the power to push anything. Now, we can talk and we can ask and we can demand. I mean, demanding don't usually work, but, you know, have to work through the process. And I feel for them. I'd hate to live on those corners, you know, for sure. But, you know, I do appreciate what they had to say, and hopefully we can get something out. Y'all got my 3-minute timer on there?
Yeah, I was just checking. Just checking.
That's all right. I've said enough.
We good? Mr. Jones?
Thank you. And thank you to our 3 citizens that have attended this meeting and are still here. Appreciate your confidence in us to sit here this long. I wanted to thank the candidates that have come and spoke tonight, whether I support them or not. It takes a lot of time out of your life to do these sorts of things and be willing to serve your fellow citizens and run for office. I wanted to caution anybody that might be listening to be careful. Halloween's coming up, and I hope each kid out there will have something brightly colored on, or a light stick or something as that night progresses along, and everybody hopefully will remain safe. I want to remind everybody to vote. And the other thing I want to speak about, you know, we're all aware the storms are in the news. A lot of citizens have lost their life. Others have lost their homes, and it'll be a long time recovering. But I would remind everybody to also take care of your own family and your own preparedness. Maybe have 2 or 3 days worth of food and a little bit of water in your house so that you don't have to be rescued, so that help could go to someone else that really needs it if we have an emergency. And that's all I got to say, sir.
I too would like to be sure that we all remember these folks in western North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Keep them in our prayers. They're going through a lot. My son-in-law, like Jimmy's son, my son-in-law was there over the weekend with some friends, and they were there helping out with one of the fire departments up there. And he's right. It's overwhelming. It is overwhelming. I can only imagine just from the pictures and just from the newscasts. And I'm afraid I'm enough of a news junkie. I've seen way too much of it. But I too also would like to thank everybody for staying. We really do appreciate it. And I too think it has been a very good meeting. Thank you again. Good night.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Better.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay. Well, hold it. If he wants to stay, let's.
Get the call.
I'll withdraw my vote.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Mr. Wagner, put me down for an aye.
Put me down for a nay. I'm not leaving if Jim won't want to leave.
That's only 2, so we've gotta go anyway.
Go right on a golf cart with me at Christmas.
Come by, Derek's working tomorrow morning, get some breakfast on the way in.
Yeah.
3 a.m., bud.
Y'all cook.
Take some foil with you, put mine in.
Chicken sandwiches.
Take some foil with you, put mine in foil, and I'll get it about 6.
No, grill them. Grill.
23 minutes ago.
Come on by. 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
If that's what we need to do, that's what we'll do. 1 hour. What we need to do.
This week.